Gleam. Crab was able to take Shiro down, and so NAVI now all alone in the world. Get towards the side, trying to pick them up, and just won't be able to do it. Forrester gets the pistol, and Entropiq have the first round of the grand final.
Good start for them on this Vertigo. They get that T-side pistol over the line, and they just find the weak spot on the map there in the pistol. They find Axel alone, isolated on that B side of the map. As soon as they can hunt him down, getting that quick bomb plant put Gambit in a position where it was always going to be so hard to get back in. They needed quick kills, and as soon as they couldn't find them, it was always looking good for Entropiq. So they're looking to get off to a good start here on this first map. But Gambit have got some pistols straight out into the second round.
Yeah, they've gone for the force, and Forrester sitting down on the ramp with a Galil. It's actually forced back with some good early utility, and NAVI, king of the ramp here on A side. He's able to pick out one, and Hobbit swings out for the follow-up. The CZ has come in with a second kill. And just like that on the weaker weapons, Gambit have a two-man advantage.
Now, ramp control's not going to be easy for Entropiq to take, and they're learning that early. The pistols work in tandem to win those opening fights. NAVI and Hobbit are such a good combo at fighting in that ramp. We get to see it early on. They've stolen away a Galil as well. But at least Entropiq still have the edge in terms of rifles. If they can force some fair fights, they still have a chance here, even with the start of the round going so badly.
Yeah, 1 minute left as Entropiq start to turn their tides as they walk up the ramp. Still got some utility left.
Remember, there's no kit for Gambit here either, so if they can force that bomb plant, then that puts them in a much better spot.
Yeah, still a little bit of utility left on the back of Inter.
In that ramp. We get to see it early on.
NAVI did take a lot of damage at the start of that round. There is an HE left and available. If it connects onto NAVI's position, would remove him from the round, but unable to get it in position. 35 seconds. Hobbit now gets aggressive in towards short. He'll go down to Lackey, and that's at least drawing a kill back here for Entropiq. They're not pressured just yet. They're still just trying to take these kills, and so slowly as they move forward, they pulled it back into a 3 versus 3. Shiro at position with the Deagle. There's no utility to try and smoke him off, so he's able to take fights, and Intros is taking the first on the Deagle. Lackey clears out. Axel swing on from Lackey. That's a follow-up kill, and now just Shiro. 1 versus 2. The leading clutch player in the tournament looking to do it again, but Elian brings him down. His counterpart on the other side of things is able to get the up on him.
Couple of important kills there from Lackey to bring it back, and he has been one of the biggest overperformers at this event compared to what we'd expect from him. He has been putting up star level numbers at this tournament so far, and you even see the way they play it at the end with Elian just sneaking down below so that he can get into the unexpected angle. Really good recovery there from Entropiq, especially considering they didn't have that utility. They didn't have the 2 smokes they could put onto the site to force the easy bomb plant, and now Gambit are in an even worse spot into round 3.
It is a nice little taste of what is to come though for Gambit. You know, they are going to be so good at playing in towards ramp. And there was that man on your screen, NAVI, just a moment ago. There's probably the most iconic player in the world at playing ramp on Vertigo.
They're doing it on both sides of the map too. Once we switch halves, he is definitely someone to keep an eye on. He can fly up that position fairly frequently.
Wacky. Really good start for him, and as you were saying, and what Yanko has touches on, the fact that Entropiq just don't really have a weakness. Nickelback, one of the highest performing players at the event. There's a 0.1 difference between him and Elian at this event so far. Just shows you how you really have one player, Elian, who's kind of seen as one of these breakout players, shown that he could do it at LAN as well at the major, and now into this event. But your in-game leader that was often looked at as a bit of a quieter player is just 1 point lower than him, or 1.1 lower than him on the rating. So here's NAVI back in. 5-7 has actually spotted a chance, and now the rest of them are low. NAVI's finding an opportunity, and Lackey luckily gets away with that. If NAVI had taken him down, it was a real shot at getting over to the site. Just so many members still left for Entropiq. He was just cutting the numbers down and making it expensive. But here comes the guns now for Gambit.
And you still take that damage if you're NAVI at the end of the round there. Taking away a couple of weapons can make a difference in the long run, especially with Entropiq getting off to that 3-0 start. You don't want them to get too comfortable early. Here comes the guns for Gambit though, and that signature weapon out in the hands of Shiro. He's got the AWP out, and whenever he's had the sniper at this event, he seems to do something special with it.
He's been absolutely unbelievable. Just a huge performance out of him, higher than anybody in this event in most categories. So just absolutely beasting it. We'll see if he can find that impact early. To think Hockey started the tournament a little quiet as well. A couple of missed shots in the first map. We got to see them in play, but since then he has warmed up massively. Good control onto ramp here for Gambit. They're not really challenging it. They've thrown down a deep smoke, and Entropiq have respected it. doing what I like to call the NAVI smoke.
Finally looking to take that ramp control back. It is hard to take ramp for the T's at the start of the round sometimes. If you want to fully commit to it, you have to use a lot of flashes often and a lot of utility. So instead they wait it out, which costs some time, but it means they still have a good amount of utility left if they want to approach this site. It's the CTs taking initiative, though.
Yeah, Forrester just getting that peek down, and that is going to give the advantage on over to Entropiq. Is now they start to wonder, do we just head in towards the site? We get our utility in place, the execute begins to come in, and Hobbit tried to move forward and slip the numbers back into equilibrium, but he just couldn't do it. Instead gets caught by the headshot of Elian, and Gambit are down now to 3 players. Inters realizes maybe a risk needed to be taken, but Nickelback is waiting for that. He's waiting for the aggression, and Gambit are not really getting the kills back. Nickelback's looking to commit to the plan, and Inters tries to deny, but when he goes up, that just gives away his life. Axel so far away, just not involved at all.
That's a really good sign for Entropiq that they're able to counter some of that ramp aggression that Gambit love to go for. They stop that early proactive play from working, and then Gambit try and get even more proactive off the back of that, but none of it works out for them. Entropiq have a solid take into the A site, and I would say one of the best chances for Entropiq in this best of 5 is by starting on Gambit's map pick and just coming in sharper than them and just putting them in an uncomfortable position early. This is really what you want to see for Entropiq. If they could come in and start to scare Gambit on this first map, that's what you need.
And if, as a confident team, right, yeah, I mean, we look at Entropiq, they are certainly in a confident state right now. This is actually going to help them a lot just mentally. They're going to believe in themselves that they can take this first map. You know, you did it at PGL. You didn't even let them get 10 rounds. So this is definitely a chance for Entropiq to get off to a good start in the best of 5, which I think is absolutely essential. If Gambit win the first map in this best of 5, it immediately just becomes much more difficult.
You can see that flash was solid from the CTs, but it's just such a tight angle that you can spray into it. And then once Hobbit goes down on the further re-aggression, that's when Entropiq are confident that they can just go for the throat onto that A-bomb site.
Axel on your screen right now, playing that was the main talking point for me coming into this was how Axel has dropped off a little bit from the previous event. You know, you look at some of his ratings at the events they were winning, and it was just skyrocketed in comparison to the ratings that he was having at the likes of the PGL Major. And a big part of his success story is just being able to open up rounds. In particular in Vertigo, you know, you'll often see they just leave NAVI on the T side to work ramp on his own. Axel will then play in towards middle with a little unit in behind him, and he's just so good at opening up and getting those timings that gives Gambit so crucial man advantages. He's turned it around at this event, Hawk. He is looking better than he was previously.
Yeah, unfortunately, so far here on CT's side, that B-bomb site, apart from the pistol round, hasn't had enough action for him in these gun rounds. We've only had the one so far, but Axel there had to save his rifle into this one, so we'll see if he can get more involved.
Ooh.
As with just that one rifle, you do want to see Axel get involved in this round. He's only joined by pistols.
Hobbit takes the initial damage as he tries to apply some pressure into middle. Got caught by the AK of Crad, and this is just the default for Entropiq. They're just slowing it down. They know they're up against some weaker weapons, but you don't know what they've got on the table. You don't know if they've invested into it. You don't know if they're going to be stacking somewhere, going for an aggressive play. So it's just this default stance. You hold off the bottom ramp and slowly work your way up while you hold the rest of the extremities. Has to be the call for Entropiq. And it's worked out so far. Gambit have made the rotation and the stacking towards A-Hawker.
You've always got to be worried of a pesky boost or something weird in this sort of round, and now they'll hear these steps over the top.
Oh, and they're coming over the top, and Nickelback is ready for them. Fires through no man's land and commits onto NAVI. They've lost that first player here, Gambit, and they don't really have the weapons to fight. They've also lost a lot of health on Hobbit. This is looking tough for them.
Ooh. Gambit faked some noise running back towards mid, and then they walked back to this A site. So there's a chance Entropiq thinks some of those CTs have rotated away here.
Yeah, Gambit just trying to pull them into the greatest opportunity possible for them to do some damage and clothesline them and have the majority of the players here. And with 30 seconds left, Inters gets flashed into the peak, and it's worked out. Inters in with 2, Shiro with a follow-up, and Entropiq are now down to 2 players. Their legs are swept from beneath them as Axel now trying to flank around the backside. Nickelback has got a double, but Axel's proactive play finds the kill that saves the round for Gambit. Oh, Entropiq, that is going to be a stinging round.
Oh, Nickelback was the one walking out looking like a boxer, but it's Gambit who just throw a knockout punch at them in this round. Those kills were so quick with the Deagles. Shiro and Inters getting instant headshots. The fact that Inters gets away with 2 is incredible there. That is the display of skill that you want to see from Gambit. Such an impressive round win, and now they've got the rifles to work with. If I were Entropiq, I'd be scared already.
It's certainly a statement here for Gambit, posing a risk in those kind of rounds. But Entropiq have a chance still with this buy to put them to bed in this round. Entropiq cannot fall into the mindset of negativity and respecting too much towards the ramp. They have done a good bit of work, but I think in a couple of these rounds, Alex, they've been a little bit too tentative.
I'm fine with them starting the round like this, though. I think
absolutely
you really don't want to go down to any early aggression, and they are just slowly taking that ramp control in general. That will be the aim again in this one.
A little gap on the right side here. This is what NAVI will do a lot. Just play in and around the smokes, be a problem, but Forrester's ready for that. You know when you're going up against Gambit, that is going to be a problem. And Forrester will take NAVI down. An advantage in play here for Entropiq. And look at Hobbit's angle. It's a little annoying, but this smoke will fade away, which will give him less cover to play with. He has to hope that he gets the chances, and they're not going to check him. Great way of just getting that kill back here for Hobbit.
They still have more utility if they want to flash him in, but look at Crowd on the lurk. He's got into an advanced position, and with 40 seconds left on the clock, they can still call to come back and use that advantage.
But it's Shiro he's got to peek into, and Shiro has not been missing much of this competition. He's got a good angle, and Crad, he's got to be aware of this. There's the second rifle there as well. Inters goes around the corner, but the trade from Shiro, so well placed. And that's exactly what Inters can be, you know, just setting up his teammate to make sure Shiro stays alive and can have impact later in the round. They try to speed it up into the B play, but Axel's there and waiting. Gambit just find all the kills to draw back the round.
And Entropiq decide they have to just concede this one. Low time remaining. And that is going to be one of the problems with playing this way towards ramp. Even when you do get that opening kill, you cost a lot of time at the start of the round, just waiting out the early utility, waiting out the early potential aggression. And so this is a round where Entropiq do find that early kill, but Gambit find the way to pull it back, with Hobbit playing smart behind that smoke. That kill was really important, and then Shiro also able to get that trade onto Crad, which meant that Axel had the assistance he needed, and they weren't comfortable pushing that bomb site.
And you look at Gambit, they're one of the most studied teams, if not the most studied team of the last year, right? And this was a very strong map for them. Entropiq have had to play them so many times in CIS RMRs, in CIS competitions, and even at the majors. So this is a team that Hooch will have looked a lot into, this team will have studied a lot. You're going to know that NAVI is going to get aggressive, but you can deal with NAVI, but they're so good at adapting. They have all the answers on Gambit. They just know, okay, it's gone badly. This is the response we have available. And that is something you can't account for. It's something you can't prepare for. You just have to adapt on the fly. And that is something I think the experience of Hobbit will be able to do so effectively.
Nickelback has a Mac 10 in this round, so if there were a round where Entropiq wanted to switch it up and fight for ramp early, this could be it. We've got Cramp playing on that mid lurk again. Nickelback deploying that early molly. CT's got plenty of players trying to see if they can look for an angle in towards this position.
This is an angle, super tight. Swad's peeking up in towards ledge. Big have been throwing a smoke here and there that allows you to smoke off the ledge itself, because that fight's not really being the most favorable of affairs. But Shiro is playing him from short instead with this AWP. Deep smoke up towards top ramp as Forrester starts to clear the close positions. It's a methodical take again from Entropiq, but they have two players posted at B. They try and catch the timing and the jump peaks of Axel. They nearly had a shot there, but just couldn't quite land it. But they have forced him back.
They forced him back on B, but they haven't been able to gain the ramp control as easily this time. Another smoke has come down. Under a minute left on the clock. And finally, Entropiq will start to look in towards ramp. But even though Gambit have used some nades early, they've still got some utility left, and that smoke just went awry for Entropiq.
Yeah, this is very slow, and they got to deal with this boost as well alongside Shiro. There's just so many players in the right positions. It's hard to see them not coming away with two early picks. That will put them into the 3 versus 5 or 3v4 if they can get the trade quickly, and they won't even get the trade. So this has put Entropiq in almost an unrecoverable position. If they're going to pull this back, they've got to deal with a full rotation back and utility still in place for Gambit, and they've only got 25 seconds to do it. Lackey's starting to come through the smoke, and Hobbit is just on the other side of it. Easy kill for Hobbit as he spams into the barrel, and Axel's flying. It's not going to find much. But 14 seconds left. What can Entropiq really hope to do? They're not going to get to B in time. It just has to be another save call. Gambit are just playing with the time and playing with the food right now. Entropiq not doing a good enough job at forcing Gambit into uncomfortable situations.
The utility management was so solid for Gambit in this round, but I think more importantly, that missed smoke from Entropiq was so costly for them. They were trying to smoke off Shiro's angle, but Shiro, because the smoke lands below the map, I believe, ends up getting a really easy kill. And then Entropiq are kind of just clutching at straws, having lost those early players. Entering that A side of the map is really tricky.
And now they don't have much money because they have been battered and bruised. They saved the last round. They had the minimal cash left to get the buy. And now they're just down to P250s across two players, a Deagle in the hands of Forcer and the two safe weapons, which just so happens to be an AWP. And that's a storyline we really have to talk about, is Elian. If there is going to be an Entropiq performance today where they're able to take down Gambit, Elian has to perform to a great level.
I'm sure Gambit will be aware that he has saved the AWP in this round, so they will likely just look to give him as few options as possible. And I think you're right, Dinko. You said earlier that the slow play from Entropiq towards ramp could maybe be costly long term. I was okay with it in the early rounds, but it really feels like Gambit have adapted to that slow play style now.
It does feel like Gambit are just going to be very comfortable playing that game as well. They're getting away with their aggressive plays, being able to set themselves up with their gimmicky setups for the boosts and playing off contact of Shiro's AWP. There's going to be a lot of that, I think, throughout this game, and Entropiq just have to make Gambit uncomfortable on their map pick.
This is Entropiq trying to find a way to get that AWP into action. The boost could be good, and he gets that kill he was looking for.
He tries to get the second, but the head is just peeking over to the top. Inters realize he's just staying alive is so important here. He'll throw the smoke down and just play in behind it. Inters trying to just buy some time and information through the sound cue. Teammates starting to rotate over. He'll give away his position with a spam away. The sound cue is made and Crad will take him down, but NAVI to the side of the smoke just emerges with 2 kills and then dives back into the darkness. Crad with no real shot gets flanked by Hobbit, and Gambit close it with the weaker buy of Entropiq. They don't even get the bomb plant. Just great job there from Inters, making it uncomfortable, preventing that bomb plant coming through.
Yeah, that's the perfect round to showcase what Inters brings to this team.
That's why I have him in my dream team, Hawker.
The value he brings just by surviving there is so important, because that's the only way Entropiq are going to win that round, really, is by quick kills. So once Axel goes down, Inters realizes, okay, I just need to survive, make sure someone like NAVI can arrive on the rotate. That's exactly what happens. I'm sure we've all played matchmaking and our B players have died, and we're just like, oh God, I can't do anything.
Yeah,
Inters ain't going to do that.
Yeah, it's just important not to go down there. That's the main thing you've got to do, and I think Inters is very comfortable doing that. You've seen just a few moments in this game already of what Inters is capable of doing and what he provides for the Gambit side. You know, it's very easy to look at the kill Shiro gets, but how does he get it? It's Inters peeking into the fight early, picking that info up, making the kill easier for Shiro to pick up. In that round, NAVI comes in and gets the 2K, but the only reason he's able to do it is because Inters has allowed that to happen. So there's little details you've got to keep a lookout for when a player like Inters, usually an unsung hero, is able to pull off impact.
I love seeing Hooch get quite animated there in this timeout too. The conservative start was
we
okay.
Are around, but I would love to get into to see what's happening here. We can maybe see from the perspective of the monitors as they look to take pot of B control. It seems like Entropiq have gone into that.
Oh, there's a kill.
That default. There is a kill already come through. Elian's opened up the round. NAVI's out of play, and now a man advantage in play here for Entropiq.
This is more like it. This time it seemed like a faster approach onto that ramp. They have got that early kill. They're putting some pressure on the CTs, and now they could catch a rotate.
You know, Axel's waiting to line them up, and Crad just opens up the round. Axel down, and a man advantage now double for Entropiq. Much better start to the round. Inters peeks out and gets an important kill back. It's not going to be the equalizing kill, but it certainly puts it within touching distance.
And when you kill Axel here, you know he's normally the B anchor, so they realize the B site is open. They quickly push in, and now they've got a brilliant chance to win the round.
Yeah, fantastic acceleration and commitment from Entropiq. It's a quicker round, more decisive. Now they've got to hold the post plan.
No utility for the Ts though, so that gives the CTs the chance to have those clear lines of sight, but the CT utility also isn't doing much right now.
Oh, Inters is trying to drop himself down from construction. Again, has that AWP of Shiro trying to peer through the angles, but Inters is the rightfuller that needs to clear the corners. Forrester, the first player to go down this time. The Hobbit utility being put in place by Inters, but it's Lackey, a close generator that gets caught. Shiro brings him down, and now it's all on Crad. Fantastic performance yesterday, but needs to do it again here. Just can't get it done. Shiro brings him down as he switches to the AK. On the way out, he'll reclaim the AWP, and it's Gambit with another successful retake. Nickelback doesn't really look like he's lost the round there. It looks like he's just having fun with a hand warmer.
Yeah, he seems to be okay with it, but That was a really impressive retake. They clear out some of these close angles early. This was that initial frag from Elian, which forced this rotation from Axel. So Axel gets caught. This looks like a locked-in round. But Inters finally brings one back, and the utility that Gambit used didn't actually get any kills, didn't force any players out of position, but it cleared out some of those close angles they had to be scared of. They used the smoke well. They win another round into the lead.
Yeah, and Shiro's now peeking down in a short little gap for NAVI to play with. He knows all the tricks in the book when it comes to utility place down on ramp, and that is given the opening.
That previous round loss could really be tough for Entropiq to come back from. Crad was saying yesterday, after that 1v4 they conceded, they were a little bit shook by that. They think it actually affected them. But look at Nickelback sneaking up to B. Another kill onto this B site.
Yeah, he's just cracked it open, but there's a little gap for Axel to play with. And he's actually using the AWP in this round. Axel with a double off alongside Shiro. Really needs to start delivering because Crad is now out. Shiro has got that pick. And advantage sides of Gambit again. They've been so good on the retakes. Elian realizes we've got to win some rounds now. We've got to win some of these. And he's going to go and take some fights to try and bring the numbers down. He's holding them off as they come through construction. It's the rifles getting toppled, and Shiro just in with one, but Lackey swings out for the reply. Entropiq finally on the board with another round win. And you can see it's just a positive influence on their mindset.
A great bounce back, and they're finally switching up that playstyle somewhat. They actually put some pressure on B early in the round. They get Nickelback into a position where he can sneak up onto that bomb site, and then on B, it is much easier to just get that one kill and quickly accelerate. Whereas over on A, even if you get the kill on ramp, you have to make noise pushing up. You maybe have to set up some nades.
Yeah.
If you can just win that one key fight on B, that can be enough sometimes to get you onto the site.
And they are getting into the site time and time again, right? Gambit have gone for some retakes and they've been very solid. But Entropiq feel like, okay, we've step one is getting into the site and getting the bomb down. Then you could just focus on how to play that post plant better. What has went wrong over the previous rounds and how can we change it up? And they finally forced their way into the B site and got a round win this time. Did come down to the 1v1 at the end there, so certainly not the cleanest of rounds, but it's all about getting rounds on the board and trying to keep the CT economy in disarray.
Exactly. This could be a huge round for Entropiq because if they win this, they do reset that CT economy. They could go on that streak at the end of the half and really come away with a solid scoreline.
Shiro. He's peeking again. He's changing up his angle so they can't counter him every round. A couple of times he'll play towards short. This time goes for the ledge peek. Obviously that is going to be dependent on spawn as well, but just being a little bit more unpredictable. You can't really bank on the ult being in just one position time and time again. Crad has often been the mid player in these default rounds from Entropiq. Found some success, and when there's no pressure put onto him, you actually try and be a little bit more proactive, see what space is available to him.
The rest of the T's going back to B, though. They were grouped up towards ramp early, but now they're walking up B, and there's no one here to spot them.
Well, Axel's playing from quad. He has a decent position with a distraction of construction, and Axel's going to peek out for one. A second kill will knock him in from his rifle instead of his interest that assassinates Lackey from the round. A 4 versus 3, Gambit will hold the advantage, and Elian wants that kill back. The bomb is down in the open. Crad is down as well on that mid-flank, trying to get around the backside. They were so ready for it, and Gambit are just looking good. They've got all the players in the right spot, and Entropiq haven't even put the bomb down. Hobbit starting to flank around the B stairs as well, and Elian just has so many angles to worry about. He's getting overrun, and will finally beat Domes. Gambit with a recovery round. They only lose one player, and that is going to make their economy feel much more comfortable.
Entropiq thought they found their way into this T side by getting over to that B side of the map, but this time the setup from Gambit is set up in a way where that B anchor doesn't die instantly. He doesn't go down quite as quickly, and that means even though it looked like Inters was caught out briefly, he was able to react quickly, and they were able to combine with that mid and B player. Inters was able to survive too, which made a big difference because Entropiq weren't comfortable getting that bomb down, and here's some faster aggression. The pistols up towards this side early, but NAVI spotted him.
Shiro's got a peek right into the CZ, and that's an easy kill for Shiro. No swing out from the following player of Entropiq, so Shiro's allowed to drop back and look at that again. Hobbit with the perfect timing, playing in and around the smokes, fielding kills left and right. Forrester and Elian out, and Blight. It's Nickelback and Crad. And now the last two remaining players for Entropiq trying to get back in towards Axel, who's happily taking the one kill onto Nickelback. Crad is now just left with the deagle in hand. Another good start to the day from Crad. Definitely had some words before in the event when he had some quieter performance and he getting in his own head a little bit. But from that second day onwards, he has been looking fantastic individually. Yesterday, had another great game against Fiend. Not a bad start at all against Gambit, 12-9, especially because his position is actually on the T side defaults as one where you really don't get a lot of space and you don't really get to do a whole lot. He's just the boring player that has to hold mid. It's just not exactly the most forgiving position, but Krad's still finding that impact.
Yeah, he's been doing well so far. And I think for Entropiq, this is a round where maybe with the pistols, you just test to see if running up ramp fast can be something that's successful. But Gambit clearly showed that they can handle that. Now they'll go back to the gun round. I wouldn't be surprised if they go back to their slow play style they've been favoring so far. Looks like Krad threw that smoke out of spawn for ledge over towards ramp. Trying to cut down on those angles they have to be concerned about. And that allows Forrester to run up.
Oh yeah, this is much better. A lot of map control picked up and they've isolated Hobbit into the solo fight. And for that, Forrester will come out with the first pick. Inters has rotated over to be that quick player to help out this A defense. In fact, they made a very quick rotation. 3 players are back on the A site. And Entropiq, they've got the read of that. They're not going in towards A. They're committing back in towards the B stairs. They're going to throw some fake utility out and try and draw them away further. But that B site is now empty.
It's the same response from Axar. When they lost that pick towards A in the previous round, he left B entirely. This time he has come back in the nick of time, and he still has some nades to try and slow this.
Yeah, he's going to peek out into the B stairs at the perfect time, commits to the spray. Comes away with one headshot elsewhere. Forrester's been able to remove NAVI, but it's all on Axel to try and hold the site. He just couldn't do it. Now Inters and Shiro into the 2v4. Now we have seen a lot of great retakes from them, but this round is just so difficult. What a shot from Shiro. So quick onto Krad. But Entropiq still have the player advantage. They still have the site. And so that is just worrying signs for Gambit. So they realize no retake will be happening. The save call has to be made. And Entropiq, again, that barrel back into the B site just with numbers is able to get them on.
Inters was just watching construction in case someone strayed too far away from the safety of the site. But that won't be happening. And it is another round where once the first kill comes in for Entropiq, they seem to realize that B side could be the weak spot.
Sneaky, sneaky, the little tip with the barrel around the corner. Elian's been picked out, and Shiro's looking for the second kill. I know, he gets caught, gets bedded in. Good shots from Forrester in this round. And that is a player that has had this explosive ability, in particular when they're playing in a deficit situation. You know, if they're down a player, I think Forrester in this event has been so good at being influential for Entropiq, working those kills. But in this round, showing he's good at just getting those openings and getting those mid-round fights as well.
And as soon as Entropiq are able to get those early trades and get the early advantage, they seem to know what the response from Gambit is likely to be. They seem to have been well prepped into what those CT rotations will look like. They are finding the weakest spot on the map, but it's those early kills that have been crucial to allowing that to happen so far. So we've got to keep an eye on those early fights, because this time we've got a boost thrown into the mix.
Gambit once again finding another little gimmick, something you can pull out every now and then. Hobbit has had a few of them around his own utility, but this time on top of his teammate's head.
I wonder if Entropiq can suss this out, because this is a round where Gambit have really not shown any presence towards ramp, which is quite rare for them.
And it's going to give them the space and the time to feel comfortable about checking the boost as well, because there's no pressure being applied at all, but they're not looking up there. They're not thinking about it. It is a pretty shallow boost. You have to let them go very wide, and that's exactly what we're talking about. Krad just cracking the head of Hobbit, and that might just quicken the pace here of Entropiq, who have actually crept very close to the side. Gambit did not have that info, so rotations are slow. They haven't got the numbers back to this side of the map. Unfortunately for Nickelback, though, he just gets clotheslined by Inters, and they haven't been able to get onto the side. Flash is so good, and the aggression of NAVI through the smoke has caught Krad and the bomb that is now down in the open. For Entropiq, it's time to pull it back in the 3v4. They've taken damage, and because of that, it's an easy pick on the Forrester through the boxes. And now Elian and Lackey have to do the almost unthinkable move of pulling back this 2v4. Lackey moves forward, gets triple peaked, and so 1-for-1 trade is immediately there. And Elian, as good as he is, this just isn't a round you can win. He's stuck towards short, and Gambit have the numbers. A good opening from Entropiq, but Gambit, I thought the rotation was going to be slow. It was, but it's those little risk plays that they're willing to do, Hawker, that gets them those kills back.
Yeah, so much that goes into this round. First, Krad is aware of that boost, as we were saying, maybe realizing it was a little too quiet. was a little off towards the ramp early, so they get that early kill, but that's when Entropiq have to make that call quickly. Do we instantly commit off that kill? Because when you see that boost, you know there's a second player committed to that short angle. They decide to go for it. That one smoke on the site means that Nickelback can get really far up, but because the CTs have the utility, that flash over the top gets the frag, and now they have that foothold into the site they needed. NAVI with a good spam through, and Gambit have salvaged this half really well after that slow start. They were 4-0 down. They've brought it back to an 8-6 lead.
Oh, this is a little different from Entropiq, trying to boost over the top of the smoke, and actually had a shot there on the Hobbit, but the HE goes down and soars through the smoke to connect onto damage on Nickelback and Forrester. Just one HE is able to get that much damage onto them, Hawk. It's a great start to the round here for Gambit, just utility-wise. Crad, is he about to be caught by some proactive play again? He's made the sound cue, he's jumping, and Inter's rifle begins to walk around the corner. Crad has a Galil, it's not the best weapon for the job. Because of that, they don't even need to have to give away the position of Shiro. Crad did not get that info. All he's seen was Inter's. So as far as he's aware, there's only one rifler in mid.
Now, Gambit haven't gone for those switch-ups too often with aggression towards mid or B, but this is the time for it. It was the perfect time to throw it into the mix and catch that solo player. Now the ramp control is being taken by Entropiq. They only have a couple of smokes remaining to try and get onto the site, though.
And they're turning this into just a quicker play. Now, once these smokes are down, you've just got to go. You've just got to try and open it up, but Inters and Hobbit are in good spots. Hobbit's boosted up. Shiro's been caught through the smoke by Elian. Fantastic shot out of him. But again, Gambit just don't really let them breathe. They don't let them have that space to feel comfortable to get the bomb down. They've also got to deal with Nafani towards short, and Elian goes in for the fight, just can't land the shot. And because of that, Nickelback now alone in a 1 versus 4. And they spot him out. They know they've got him pinned in short. He doesn't have the ball on his back. Gambit are going to go ahead and take 9 rounds in this first half. Their map pick looking strong for the most part. Again, Entropiq, you can see they had a lot of preparation coming into it, but you just couldn't deal with some of the little plays coming through from Gambit, playing in and around utility, great flashes through, and some risk plays coming in from a lot of these individuals for Gambit that have shown up early on.
This has been a really fun chess game to watch throughout this first half. This was the final move made in the first half of Gambit. Inter's just going for some mid-aggression, which they rarely threw into the mix. Crad was so often solo lurking mid that it works out perfectly for them. And then the rest of the players on the A site win their fights in tow. I think all in all, Gambit will be fairly happy with that half because they got off to that slow start. They came back and got a solid scoreline on the board. Now they have the chance to play on that T side and definitely have to keep an eye on Nafani in this second half. We'll see if he goes for the earlier ramp control because that's something Gambit oftentimes are willing to do that Entropiq didn't really go for.
Crad is going to be holding up towards top ramp. Elian under a good bit of pressure in the pistol. Gambit trying a very quick round, but has been stifled here for Entropiq. As they go forward, it's Forrester removing Axel. Shiro trying to get the trade kill, but he hasn't been able to do it. He hasn't been able to pull that kill back, but Nafani will. Problem is, the bomb's down at short, and Nafani's caught from behind. Entropiq finding the crucial kills and have now put it into a winnable situation. It's just Inters left in a 1v3. P250 in his hands. Bomb on his back as he was able to slip away with that. You'd love to try and get onto the bomb site and just put the bomb down here for his side. Give them an advantage in terms of being able to pull the force buy into the next round. But very good stuff from Entropiq. A rapid rotation. And now a player down the bottom of the ladder. Crad is low. Just one bullet would do it. And Inters does bring Crad down. Now we can run up the ladder. He's going to pick out that sound cue. He could catch Nickelback into the 1v1 here, Hawker. Inters has time. He has 50 seconds left. If he turns this into 1v1 fights, well, certainly there is a chance for Gambit to win this pistol.
Absolutely. Inters is going to start to come back to B. The CTs will be spread apart. They currently don't have that kit either. It was dropped towards the bottom of the ladder, but Inters still needs to land a stunning shot as he enters this site because Lackey is playing super passively.
Surely Lackey just plays for info. You can concede the bomb plant, you would play the 2v1 together. But it depends if you can get the angle, if you can get in the drop on him. And Inters is holding the construction position, and Lackey in with a beautiful headshot. Saves the round for Entropiq, but you definitely see a world in which Inters has a shot there.
Lackey has had quite a few of those important kills when it's come down to late round scenarios. He's had a couple of rounds where he's had to come through for his team. Inters with a good effort, but Entropiq were just ready for war at the start of that round towards A.
And at the major, they were ready for war as well on Vertigo. It was a 9-6 half for Gambit as they led the way, exactly how it was here. 9-6 out of the CT side. They proceeded to lose every single T round. Entropiq won 10 in a row. We'll see if they can repeat history here at the V4 Future Sports Festival in Budapest.
See if the added pressure of the grand final makes any difference here in this best of 5. Krad also was the player who had that excellent performance in that best of 1, which helped Entropiq get it over the line. There's a force buy here for Gambit, and Nickelback's just got off that angle as the T's start to approach mid.
There's also a bit of a tech issue, I believe, for Gambit during that game as well that we have to remember. Krad swings into mid. Good kill on the MP9. Nickelback trying to help him out, but it has given a slight opportunity for Gambit to move around the back at CT, and now Nickelback is worried about 2 positions. He was worried about construction in CT, and they're able to crunch on him because of that. And that's given a crucial kill into Gambit's hands, as now it looks a 3v3 on the server, 59 seconds, and Lackey reply to save the pistol. Let's see if he can have a step up here, and the answer's just no, because Axel brings him down. 2 kills for him, and Axel is just feeling everybody, but Forrester on the double, looks back in behind, and Forrester chops everybody down, even the flank, he gets the right read, and it's just Forrester in these situations. Like I said earlier, when he's in a deficit clutch, if he's in his deficit round, he's able to pull it back.
Such a quick transfer from Forrester. You don't think he's going to be able to get away with it. Axel had already landed so many good shots in that round, so it had to be the quick flick over from Forrester. And then at the end, he holds his nerve to keep it over the line. You were wondering whether Entropiq could win every CT round. I thought they might get reset instantly, but they just about hold on.
In this round, Gambit don't have a lot to play with. It is going to be Glocks and Itchies, Tech 9 and P250. Gonna try and see what they can get out of the nade stack. Maybe try and bring down Lackey inside of the site and then look for a bomb plant. It's a good idea here from Gambit, I like it. Puts a lot of pressure on Lackey. In fact, they've done a very good job at countering Lackey's position, and that has allowed the pistols into the site. They can get a bomb plant, which is priority number 1. That's money confirmed for the next round, but maybe even more. Only and Nickelback pulling those kills back, and Axel swings into the fight. 1 kill for him, but just 1 as the rest of the cleanup squad arrive. No bomb plant for Gambit, so great idea. I just couldn't get the bomb down.
Yeah, they get a couple of kills at least, so it's not a bad round for them. I think for Entropiq, just having the 2 MP9s on that side of the map is what made a big difference there. If you have an M4 on mid, it's probably slightly easier for that rifle to cut down those players as they enter the site. But here comes the buy. Gambit had a fair bit of money, but they decide not to go for an AWP. They want to rock the rifles here on this T side of Vertigo, with a lot of close angles and a lot of early aggression available. You can understand why they go for the AKs, but it's Krad pushing in.
Oh, Krad looking to slip through. The player you mentioned had a fantastic performance the last time these 2 teams played. Yeah, a good showing yesterday as well. If Krad can have that step up here, could be enough to turn Vertigo into the favor of Entropiq.
I love the pure confidence Krad plays with.
I love it. And it comes back to that one word you had for him yesterday, Hawker. Mad. He is pure madness personified as he goes right through Nafany. He's going to win it. Krad had the shot. He had the lineup. He had the up on Nafany, but he's just so ready for the headshot.
He didn't quite have his crosshair at headshot height, which I think made a big difference there, because Nafany was able to hit the headshot back on towards him. Forrester looking for damage, but somehow none of those bullets have connected. And that means Gambit can get that ramp control they were looking for. They still have to deal with Forrester, but they have a lot of nades to flush him out of this position, and there's no smokes for the CTs. It's not going to matter. They just take the fight.
Axel, great opening. That is what we're talking about. That Axel opening prowess, just cracking open for the execute and making that space for the side of Gambit. And now Lackey's under pressure to swing through as Nafany tries to transfer. His teammates come in with the follow-up kills, and Gambit will win a T round. Better already than their performance at the major. And that's going to help them get into the second half now.
I do feel like Axel has got sharper as this game has gone on too. There were a couple of moments in the first half where he was more spraying to the body and having some slower times to kill, but he looks like he's getting really rapid kills now.
And Axel didn't beat out anybody from Entropiq in head-to-head duels at the last matchup on Vertigo at that major. Axel was definitely, as we said, quieter at that event. There was not a single player that he actually beat out in those duels.
Vertigo has been a map that has sometimes been awkward for Exile. I remember a game where he started something like 4 for 20 and then had to come back in overtime and really pull it back.
Could be a cruel mistress for him, especially his position he plays in the CT side. It could be quite countered and sometimes quiet if they go to the other side of the map.
Absolutely.
Oh, a lovely shot from Hobbit. Had a little slower start at the event, Hobbit, and really started to come into his own. He's now one of the highest rated players at the event, leading the way in supportive rounds as well as assists in this event. So definitely a player to really get behind. You know, he's really the experience here for Gambit. A little worrying, you know, at the start of the event, talking about how he was starting to get tired. It was starting to get to him, Hawken. And you can't really blame him. I mean, he's a family man, has a family behind him, and he's playing with a team that is extremely young. So he doesn't really have the same lifestyle as those guys, right? He's just having to force his way into every event. It's get a little exhausting for a player like Hobbit, and he did go AFK for a little while. He disappeared for a while and then returned to the scene after winning the major MVP in Krakow. He's now back and fragging out with Gambit. It's good to see Hobbit back at the top.
I think he brings a lot to this team, as you
Absolutely.
pointed out, the experience, but also the versatility I think he has as a player, where he is willing to switch up his roles for some of these young stars at times. And also, there aren't that many players that are as experienced as him that are still just real stars at the top level of Counter-Strike. It's really been cool to watch Hobbit's career progress. They are back to a gun round now, though, and we have to see if the new blood, the CIS, and some of these Entropiq players can start to fight back. Elian misses his early opportunity. Yeah,
Elian hasn't had the best start in this game. He hasn't been able to deliver that same impact that we know we can see from him time and time again. Missed shot, a chance to open up the round for Entropiq is gone. Was Gambit that had the advantage, but Nickelback's pulled that back.
Nafni was able to get Crad out of the round again here. That could be an important head-to-head battle to watch, but at least Entropiq had Nickelback lying in wait to make sure they bring it back to even numbers. It still gives Gambit the map control they were looking for, though. They'll still be happy with an early trade, especially with all the utility left for Gambit to work with. And Entropiq continue to dump all their nades early in the round.
Yeah, and Gambit have just cleared out the sandbags, making it quite clear utility is being placed towards potential lane play. And Axel just right through the metal sheet has taken Forrester out, and that's given the advantage to Gambit. Elian's turn, another miss shot. You can't afford to miss shots at this stage in the tournament, especially in these kind of rounds. Elian needs to pick up his socks and try and pull these kills back. Luckily, Nickelback's helping him out and giving him a chance. Elian does bring down one, but Hobbit and Inter's pulling back the round, and Hobbit might just win this out. He's looking to pull off the 1v1, and Nickelback goes down. And speaking of what Hobbit brings to the team, well, there is a classic round from Hobbit. The frustration on the face of Hooch, and that is a round you've got to feel was in your hands for Entropiq. That could be a turning point, because that crashes the money into the absolute depths of despair now for Entropiq.
Most important round of the game so far, and it's Hobbit who holds his nerve. Those were the early trades on ramp, but once that kill comes in for Gambit, they realize they can commit. Entropiq still did a solid job at winning some of those early fights, even after that missed shot from Elian. But as you pointed out, it's heartbreaking for Entropiq with the economy game now so far against them.
And you could see just Hooch knows how much that round meant to Entropiq, how much they stood a chance in the round as well. Elian was given so many chances just to hit his shots, and Axel with that kill through the metal sheet as well. It's just going to be in the back of your head. It's such a frustrating round. Entropiq have just got to stay focused, though. They've got to stay positive. This round certainly shall be thrown to the wind. It's all about staying in the game mentally. We have seen comebacks from a lot of teams in this competition, none more so than these guys.
Entropiq trying to throw some wrinkles in this round. They had the double stack on mid earlier. Now they have the double stack on ramp at two separate angles. The dink lands, but they lose a player in the process. Nafni was trying to sneak in, but Forrester doing damage from the site.
Yeah, little P250 taps. Nafni brought down.
Look how low those Gambit players are.
Yeah, that is a little worrying. You know, if Entropiq can start to create that stack, the Hobbit is always where you do not want him to be. He's around the backside again. Nickelback down. Luckily, Lackey was in position to catch Hobbit out. He wasn't ready for his second player to be there on the left side. And Lackey alongside Elian pulling kills now. And it's just Inters and Shiro. And suddenly Gambit stand a chance at losing this round. Oh my god, here we go, Entropiq. Shiro's throwing them up out of the map because he knows he has to play on the AK. The king of the clutches in this competition leads the way. Far superior than anybody else at this competition in clutch rounds. And Shiro's gonna do it again. Another kill for Shiro. Is he about to give us a masterclass again? Lackey sits and looks for the pick as Shiro on low HP is the walking wounded. He'll cross behind the smoke and take up position at short. Lackey has to start thinking, where is Shiro gone? Where has the ever elusive Shiro disappeared to? And he's gone back all the way around. The bomb isn't even planted for him. The bomb's not even planted for Shiro, and he's playing around the ramp. But Lackey turns, and Shiro with a majestic clutch. The headshot connected, and he is giving us a grand showing in this grand final.
Shiro has just been so good this tournament. He hadn't been having his same standout showing in this map so far, but you just knew it was coming. Forrester did such good work from the site, but Shiro is so unbelievably good in these clutch scenarios. This time not even with the AWP. The AK is so sharp for him on the first kill, and I think he realized the CTs wouldn't have a kit in this round, so he didn't get ahead of himself. And look at that reaction from Navi. He is hyped as hell because he knows Shiro has just saved Gambit again.
Last round was frustrating for Entropiq. I would say that one's more frustrating. You have yourself this golden ticket, your chance back in after losing that previous round and watching the economy get completely reset. And then Shiro is alive. You know, you never really feel comfortable in a 3v1 and you look at the top and you see Shiro's little face looking at you because you know he still stands a chance and he's just so ready and so cerebral in those situations. And for a player that we talk about not having that experience, the fact that he's so good in those clutch scenarios is it's just unbelievable. So many times he's able to pull it off. What a monster. But we're right back into round 23. This time Entropiq have rifles. Positive sign that we're able to bring it that close.
Yeah, they'll try and think of it like that. It is hard to think in that positive mindset
Glass
sometimes.
half full, isn't it, Hawk?
Exactly. If you did that well with the pistols, but you've got the rifles, maybe you can close out a round. Ooh, pressure put onto B. Lackey was reloading. They're boosting over the top, and Lackey able to adjust in time, but he goes down.
Yeah, Nafi's very quick to trade that out. You don't want to let space go in favor of Entropiq.
That's a bomb.
You have to try and snatch it back, and yeah, the bomb has been caught. Nafi committed to it solo, and Hobbit's trying to get in behind him. He's behind the smoke, and he has to regroup with his teammates. The bomb's given away to the B site. This is the perfect chance now for Entropiq. Not a lot of utility here for Gambit either. Rotation being made as well from the CTs, Hawker.
There's not much of a chance for the flank for Gambit right now. They hadn't been able to get in behind, which is the best way you can try and cause some chaos in this scenario. You can see Entropiq just have so many players watching this position.
Elian, he's watching the drop back from Inters. He's going to try and peer his way forward into the site, leaping from Tetris. Bomb is down in the open. They're trying to place their final piece of utility in the perfect spots, and that flash has got so much out of it. Hobbit blinds Ellie and removes him. Forrester has to transition back because he got caught by the flash as well. And somehow, some way, Gambit are turning this into a winnable scenario. In fact, it's favorable now for them in the numbers. And Hobbit goes forward, brings down two, and the backs are broken of Entropiq. Their spines are snapped, and the frustration on Hooch right now, you could just see it. So many rounds Entropiq are just letting slip away.
Yeah, Hooch can't believe it right now. He can't believe that they keep on losing these rounds when it comes down to crunch time.
And Gambit are so comfortable. Look at that.
It is impressive. And maybe it comes back to what we were saying earlier, where they said that they did get a bit flustered when they lost a couple of those rounds against Fiend at times. They were saying that in the interview earlier. Krad said they got a bit flustered after losing that 1v4. They've lost a couple of rounds. They'll feel like they should have won here. I love that play from Hobbit at the end too, just getting proactive in the smoke. He knew he could take the fight to them, and now Entropiq could be on their last legs here. Their money is not in a good spot here ahead of this round.
Yeah, it is worrying what you were saying about Krad, you know, letting us know that it does get in their heads when they lose clutches like that. It does get in their heads when rounds they should win go the other way. Well, they've had so many of them in a row. This is going to be a real mental test. That is what a best of 5 is. It's a test of endurance and mental fortitude. You can't let your head go in the first map of this. It is your opponent's map pick after all. You've just got to stay in the game. Right now, Krad is trying to peek over the ledge. Gambit with a very slow, respectful style of play in towards ramp. You're not seeing the classic NAVI walk up. Smoke comes down from the CT side, but NAVI now will start to try and quit that space and will try and take a first player. The itch goes soaring after Crab, but it's the rifle. They'll take the first pick, and NAVI trying to get the follow-up he has. That's the second player down, and now just Elian with an MP9 in hand. He's trying to hold a flood with just a piece of wood, and here comes the attack around the corner. Elian peeks out, and NAVI is down. Inter's trying to make up the space for the fallen in-game leader, and he'll do that perfectly. 2 kills for Inters, and now just Lackey left in a 1v4, MP9 in hand. No money for Entropiq has left him in this situation where there's just not enough resources to think about a round win. It's 15 now for Gambit. Just a matter of time, surely. Hope it was a couple of shots, but Shiro won't. 15 rounds for Gambit. Great recovery as well from, what was a slower start into the second half. And these T rounds have been fantastic out of them, and a lot of clutch rounds. Just been beautiful to watch from Gambit.
And in their cleaner round wins, NAVI has had a lot of impact with these early fights. There have been multiple rounds where NAVI wins that early fight on ramp against Crad, who tries to go aggressive. And Crad was that player who was the thorn in their backside at that major when they played this map. So the fact that NAVI keeps winning that fight on ramp is such a difference maker. And it's a similar buy for Entropiq. Last stand for them here. And it's not a perfect buy by any means.
Utility just bombarding down onto Gambit early, but it hasn't really got too much out of it, so that's a lot of resources burned early for Entropiq. That needs better though.
Hobbit's got the timing on mid, and back. Wasn't ready, but he still gets the kill.
Yeah, just 5-7 to the dome. Seen a lot more 5-7 usage coming out from the pro players now. You can see why. It's a good weapon at that long range, far superior to the CZ at that range fight, and Nickelback is able to make it work. See if Entropiq can get themselves into a winnable situation with this.
With the AWP in hand right now was watching for the ramp aggression, but Gambit have grouped back towards B. The downside for Entropiq here is because the buy was so bad, they spent almost everything on the weapons, so they don't have the counter utility to slow this play down. They have to stand and fight.
Well, they're starting to take their time, and protocols will start to come into play for Gambit as they set up utility and begin their executing towards the site. Flash is leading the charge, Inter's clearing close positions. Entropiq know what is coming, but can they deal with it? Can they deal with the inevitable bloodshed that's about to happen on his B site? And Elian peeks out. He tries to get a follow-up kill, but just one for him, and Inters have got so far up that Gambit are in the perfect spot to try and close this. Forrester and Crad, old teammates from time ago, are trying to get back in the site and use their synergy to find a way back into the round, and they've done that. They pulled the kill through, and NAVI dropped down by Forrester. They won't die yet. Entropiq will stay afloat.
Important kill from Forrester there as he dropped the bomb crossing to the site. I thought Inters' position could have been the difference maker to take this map win. He got into that deep position. The CTs had no clue he was there as he denied them entry back into the bomb site. But the CTs found the frags they needed. And Entropiq will feel like they finally got a round win that was coming for a long, long time. This was that position for Inters, but they were able to bring it back. Just dropping the bomb to the site, making a big difference. And now for Entropiq, they're finally back to a proper buy.
It's unreasonable. Shiro is feeling it at this event. He is a machine and does not want to be denied. Crad has taken a lot of damage at the start of the round. Entropiq lost that advantage in the round at least. The Gambit have shown a willingness just to play this slow style of play on the T side, Hawker, because they know they can be explosive in the late round. Entropiq don't have any utility really, a couple of players. One player, in fact, now with Nickelback just having the last remaining pieces for Entropiq. A minute left, damage being done. They're trying to get through the molly. It's not fitting away to the smoke, and so NAVI has found the first. It's Crad is the first victim of the round here, and Gambit hold the advantage. Rotation being made for Gambit to send the players back over here for Entropiq, and they have one player left over at B. 3 players on the A site. Do they get aggressive into the peak of Gambit? Doesn't look like it. Just setting up, holding the setup in play. Nickelback's kill pulls it back, and now they get aggressive. Now they think they've got the timing, but in fact they've just got death. And it's Elian trying to hold on for Entropiq. 30 seconds as they bombard his position with the remaining utility. Inter burns away the AWPer, and it's now the chances burning away with it as Axel finds the final headshot. Map 1 of the grand finals will go in favor of Gambit. It's Vertigo and redemption and revenge from the PGL Major.
NAVI loud and proud at the end of this one after getting their first map over the line. And I really think NAVI's impact was invaluable for them on that T side. How many rounds did he get that pick onto Krad that started them off on the right foot? So many rounds where he was able to get them into good positions. And the other moment was obviously that Shiro clutch. That was such a devastating blow.
There's so many moments like that for Entropiq that it really throws into question what is their mental fortitude going to be like heading into this best of 5, because we talk about Gambit being an experienced team. We can't really say that about Entropiq either. You know, you have to look at this Entropiq side and say they don't have experience either. They're a very inexperienced side. So you've got to focus and try and focus in on the fact that it is your opponent's map pick. You've lost map 1. You can't let those rounds get to you. You've got to stay in this best of 5.
I wouldn't be surprised if it is Hooch who will just be talking to them between those maps. He's always the guy that's going to be prepping them anyway, and if I were in his shoes, I probably would just try and remind them of that fact that this is absolutely a marathon, not a sprint, in a best of 5 final. That's a map you can just put behind you. You probably weren't expecting to win on that map anyway if you were going to win the BO5, so they can come through and they can still play with confidence.
Yeah, well, Gambit take map 1 of this grand final. The favorites are steamrolling ahead. We'll see if Entropiq can fight back, but before that, we've got to go to the desk, which is coming up after the break.
your style? Is that your legs wrapped around me tight? Is that your smile? Is that your style? Is that your legs wrapped around me tight? And I love you like no one ever loved anyone before. And I love you like no one ever loved anyone before. Is that your voice, so sweet of yours? Is that your hand I wanna hold so long? Is that your look? What's good? I can only say that this is so good. Is that your smile? Is that your style? Is that your legs wrapped around me tight? And I love you like no one ever loved anyone before. And I love you like no one ever loved anyone before. And I love you like no one ever loved anyone before. And I love you like no one ever loved anyone before. I know, yes I know.
The unique cultural heritage of the Visegrad Four and their 30-year collaboration enrich Europe. The past year and a half has produced unprecedented challenges, which we have faced by helping each other. Europe and the world are entering a new era, and the Visegrad countries are joining forces to shape the continent's future. Recharging Europe.
You are not my friends, you're my brothers, my friend.
Gambit managed to take their map pick of Vertigo and they turned things around because last time when we talked about it back in the PGL Major, it was a best of one, but Entropiq were able to take the win 16-9. Gambit come through and win the important one, right? To start things off in this series. It wasn't going to be duped out on this.
Yeah, and in what a manner. They lost both pistols. I mean, even the first gun round in the first half, 4-0, 3-0 down, and still make it look pretty routine, really. And I think here's what we've seen yesterday a little bit from Entropiq on that Mirage game, right? Losing the one before to Dreamer, and some rounds that really they shouldn't have. That same thing happened here on Vertigo, and I think they're going to be, kicking themselves for some of those rounds.
Yeah, 10 rounds, 3 of those from first pistol, 3 of those from second, and 1 from first gun round. Yes, you did lose a couple of 1v3s, but for me, the difference was pretty simple, right? Every time Gambit gets an advantage in the round, they turn it into a round. Every time Entropiq gets an advantage,
Gambit turns it into a round.
It's pretty straightforward, right? And I think it was like you said, it looked like a really routine job from Gambit. Imagine if they didn't lose one of the pistols, for example, it would be a much more convincing score. Overall, I think Alien didn't really show that much in this game. He had 13 for 21. Although Vertigo is kind of a map where the AWP, sometimes because of the chaotic style of most teams on A ramp, Yeah. And you don't get to shine that much, right, as an AWP, because you get all flashed away and then smoked away and then executed on. It's like a mess, and then a bunch of mollies flying in as well. It's pretty crazy, right? So maybe it doesn't really affect his confidence coming into the second map, and we get to see something from him.
Yeah, maybe we can, but I do think we should take a look back at the point where you pointed out, Janko, right? They were down 5-0 at one point. It was not looking good at all. We're thinking, okay, is Gambit going to drop the ball again? And then they actually pulled off a pretty impressive half-buy.
Yeah, exactly. After losing the first gun round 4-0 down, right, round 5, they have, I think, just one saved rifle on Exile. Rest of them were on pistols. And you can see it, there's a clear, gamble here early on. They try, in the mid-round, they try to be aggressive, get information on mid-round. Doesn't quite work out. I mean, you can see really they're in a 3v5 situation, so this should just be a lock for Entropiq. They don't decide even with the information to actually it's 4v5, Gambit is on 2 HP, and they don't decide to go back to B, right? They still just take it slow, which is fine, creep up towards A ramp, but then you're going to see another great play from Gambit, and they're just committed to this stack. They know they don't have much to lose. Flash comes in perfect from Hobbit, 2 kills from Winters, 1 from Shearer. Now it gets really chaotic, 25 seconds left, right? They rush it a little bit, and Exile there as well on the flank. Nickelback, he's just not ready for that, and Gambit win an all-important round, because it was looking like, oh, maybe this is slipping away from Gambit. Maybe this is a rerun of the PGL Stockholm Major, right? But it was here that that whole thing was stopped in the track.
Yeah, this is all Gambit right here. People would think maybe, Entropiq played a bad anti-eco. They didn't do anything wrong there. They got the opening, they got Hobbit at 2 HP, they committed obviously to the side, which is perfectly fine. They did the correct, correct part of that taking of that ramp with the sandbags, molly and everything. They were just trying to push up, and then the worst possible moment they got.
But Gambit's just better. That's not luck, the timing of the flash, right? No. It's like you understand the game, you understand the timing as they molly sandbags. That's when they want to start creeping up towards ramp. That's when the flash gets released, and that's why 2 players are blind, and that's why Gambit is.
Maybe the one correction should be in that position on ramp, there is if there's more than 2 people, the rule should be the third guy should be anti-flashed always.
Okay.
And then maybe that's a fix right there. But the molly was flying in the sandbags, and they probably looked at somebody's gonna peek from it or something, and it was just a good play from Gambit. There is nothing wrong that Entropiq did there.
Just these small details that it comes down to, right? And like you guys mentioned, the timings, but also Shiro, Mr. Clutch in everything he can possibly do. He just pulls these out of the bag every single time.
Yeah, it's been crazy. He's leading, in opening kills, leading in clutches, right? He's doing it all this tournament, and this was, just after, right before this round, Hobbit won a 1v3, right? So now that put Entropiq on a half-buy, really, and now thinking, oh, they're pulling one back from nowhere. Shirik, you see, also he was super low HP. Doesn't take really that much to bring him down, but he just plays it brilliantly here, outplays Forrester with his fake plan going through the smoke, right? Then has a good guess that the player is flanking, plans for CT. So the most logical thing for him, or for Lackey thing is, okay, he planted there, he's going to go around, go to heaven, but no, Sheer is one step ahead. Great timing to push side holes. He's going to outflank. He's not going to start running on the first kit. That just, you know, I want to say experience, but he's not that experienced. I think it's just the confidence that he's been playing with this whole tournament, and that's just a massive outplay. Just when you're lucky there and you die from it, you're just like, well, I just got told.
You got to take
The thing is, like, kind of Entropiq gave this one to him, right? Because it was a 3v1. Alien really didn't need to crab walk onto the left side because he had the support in a crossfire from the danger guy, right? And then after that smoke in a 2v1, after that smoke on the left side of the site, who was it, Forrester?
Yeah.
He decided to play that smoke. In the 2v1, you don't need to play that smoke. There was a gap on the left side, probably as I saw, because he was pushing into it. There is no need for you to play that smoke. You know, you can play 2v1. Even if he goes into B side, it's fine. Still, it's fine. Because he was low HP, right, at that time. He was already 12. So, yeah, something like that. And then that's another mistake. You're just giving him opportunities. Like Janko said, it was like a perfectly played from Shiro. He understand the moment, he understand the timing of it, and then he just used it against him, and the third guy was just absolutely smashed.
Now, before we start talking about Ancient, I want to tell everyone at home that obviously with our partners, CU, we are taking your selfies. If you guys click on the link, which will just appear on this side of me, someone will throw it up. There is a link there. You'll be able to pop in your selfies, cheer for your favourite team, and we actually give some prizes for you guys. We've got some signed V4 power banks for you to win. Link's not coming up, so I'll just not say it.
Where's the link, James? You liar.
I know.
You
Terrible person. Just duping them all out. It'll be posted in Twitch chat.
Thanks for yourself.
Ah, see, there you go. Money in the bank as well.
Money in the banks.
There you go. There it is. Can you just like, you should have played on the other shot so it's like covers Kassad's face. That would be perfect if you could just be there the whole time. But yeah, we showed you, right, the Shiro clutch, there was the Hobbit clutch that we didn't do, the half-bite we've shown, like, you know, and then of course on top of that you're gonna have a good round from Nafani on A ramp, where he's gonna get, you know, the entry kills. He's just very good at that role. And just in the, you know, as Gambit was pushing on B a couple of times and the trades come in, you just see how aware they are of how those trades, the dynamic of entering the site develops really, and they were just able to close those rounds out really efficiently.
They both know how to play, you know, advantage and a disadvantage in Gambit teams, so it's what got them the win at the end.
Now let's talk about Ancient though, right? Because this is Entropiq picking into this, believing they can do some damage, but we know how good Gambit can be on it to the point where teams were just not picking it against them.
Yeah, I think Gambit, just with the way they've been playing, you know, no one had below 70 ADR on Vertigo. It's a team effort. They really seem to be locked in, right? That's why that's what we were saying. Like, if they play on that sort of a level, there's not really much that can go Entropiq's way. I mean, they won both pistols, right, and had advantageous situations and everything, and still it was 16-10 in the end, right? That's a pretty comfortable scoreline. So they need to just do better. They need to find a way to, you know, they're the underdog. Don't stress. Like, just try to play more together. Like, try not your first instinct to be, what can I do now, like, to win the round? No, like, see where your teammates are. Is there something we can do together? Because that's what's killing them right now.
That's a perfect map for it, because Ancient coming up, you know, with a lot of banana fights, a lot of K fights, a lot of mid fights, where people are actually going together from the very start, right? If they manage to control those parts of the map, that's going to be like a big step into having like a decent half in Asian T side, right? But it needs to start with a couple of good rounds, like they did on Vertigo, right? And after that, they lost the Vertigo. But, you know, like you said, a lot of teamwork needs to be done here in this map. They're just a team that likes to play Ancient as well, you know, so we might expect something really organized in terms of game plan and execution of that.
Well, let's find out if that teamwork will make the dream work for Entropiq to try and get a map. Otherwise, we'll be looking at Gambit getting a 2-0 here. So let's get back with Hawker and Dinker and see how this one goes down.
Thank you, James. Hopping into Ancient, this is a map that NAVI said in an interview that he wanted people to pick against him and said that people don't want to pick it. Well, Entropiq have gone and done that heading into this best of 5. Do you believe NAVI? Do you think he really wants teams to pick it into him?
I heard him say this back at IM Full too, and I'm not so sure because he went on to ban it in a bunch of the best of ones. I think Gambit are aware that this is a map they're willing to play when teams pick it, but they're not always going to be that comfortable leaving it as the third map all the time. They have played it at this event though. They beat Big on it pretty comfortably, I think. So still definitely a map they're going to be decent on, and just their map pool in general is very good.
Well, it is Entropiq's map pick, and we can focus in on how Entropiq have played this map throughout this event and what sort of common things you can look out for. I think Krad's aggression down in towards B ramp is going to be essential that works out if he's trying to pull that off today against Gambit, because Krad had a great performance yesterday on Entrant. He had a strong showing at the start of the last map, even in this best of 5. So Krad, I think, is going to be influential. If he can have a good game here, then that gives Entropiq an extra piece to play with.
The problem you have with that is that in a best of 5 especially, Gambit knew exactly what maps were coming here. So they could have done that prep work, and especially when you go up against top tier teams, it is so much more difficult to consistently get away with that same aggression. You see it a lot from lower tier teams when they go up against a higher ranked squad. Sometimes those aggressive plays can be punished, because one of the differences I think a lot of top teams have is just their ability to anti-strat and understand exactly how to counter their opponent.
Interested to see how this one is going to get started. Entropiq are going to be starting on the T side. Now, difficult half here on Ancient T side. They've got to get off to a good start with a pistol. That'll certainly help out. They've taken cave control immediately, but look how passive the setup is from Gambit.
They're comfortable conceding control towards the site. Nafi's been mollied. He will get back safely, but that means the bomb site is wide open for the plant.
Yeah, that plant is going to go down. Elian is coming in with a headshot. Shiro's down, and now aggression coming in for Force. They're trying to pull some space back, but Nafi with a double kill. 3 kills for Nafi in the pistol, just toppling heads completely. Nickelback makes a risk play, knowing that he's lost players and lost space into the round. Elian is so far away. Bomb has been tapped, but Nickelback's going to swing, but the cover's there. The pistol covers him off. Nafi with a 4K into the pistol. He shut everybody down. He's charging for the ace, and Nafi will get it. 5 kills into the pistol. Strong start for the young in-game leader.
Gambit play it so well with their passive setup. They made sure they had that kit in play because they were willing to concede so much control. So even as Entropiq get into the site with that smoke down, Nafi is able to sit back and get some crucial kills. They even had that smoke that went down in towards B ramp. That meant that final player had no chance. However, when you concede the bomb plant and play so passive in the pistol, that means you've got to be ready for that second round force.
Nafi was calling immediately, rapidly. Racing was his mouth at the end of that ace clutch. Seemed like he was calling for the immediate round two. You do not want to be losing to a Force by.
This setup is so strong.
They're so ready for an A play. Force just coming through, but it's chopped down Axel. Shiro's now around the back of the site, and luckily they weren't ready for it. They were not anticipating the position of Shiro, and he comes away with 1. They've got a little lucky there, Entropiq, not to have lost a second player. Shiro was blinded for so long and cancelled out of the round, but the kills keep coming in here for Gambit. Ball plant down for Entropiq, but the rest is now cleaned up. It's Krad into the clutch. A 1 versus 2 coming in from 3 CT spawn. Bomb is tapped and Krad is around the backside. This would be a fantastic clutch for him. A massive amount of defuse being stuck around the corner, and Hobbit had the cross. Entropiq will not win their force by response. It is Gambit that get it done.
Gambit make sure they are fully focused at the start of that second round, even after that initial setup goes against them. Shiro was in a position where he was hoping to just swing off his teammate's contact. But as you pointed out, that flash blinded him for so long that he actually had to let the T's push up into his position. So the rifle no longer had that advantage of catching some unsuspecting players out. Either way, the rotate from Gambit is good enough, but with another bomb plant, Entropiq keep the pressure on again, this time with AKs on the Force.
And this time they're doing the same round. It has a little slower pace to it, and with the smoke down for Gambit early towards A main, they're not going to be charging their way through. So Gambit realized, or Entropiq rather, realized that you can't give too much map control away at the start of the rounds. They're going to start dropping a few players back that started the round towards A. See Krad's already dropped back outside the B doors, and they've slowed down to hold off elbow just to see what information can be picked up. But Gambit are again going for this very passive CT stance, and that is something they've done over the last few rounds now.
They do seem comfortable sitting back and making sure their site anchors do enough to allow those rotates to be the difference maker.
But there is a chance here for a bomb plant to come in for Entropiq, because it's quite a recessive hold. They haven't even got a player in temple. And there's Axel's work to do from Donut. First kill, second in from him as well. And these rifles are just getting toyed with, shut down completely. Elian, the last remaining player. And look how quick that rotation was from Gambit over to the A side, because he had that passive setup, get those B players over to A, and just the numbers there was so strong for Gambit to close it.
The other issue for Entropiq there is the lack of utility. They used their final smoke towards mid pretty early in the round, so they didn't have any smokes into that A site. That means you have to be worried of Temple, CT, and Donut. And that Donut angle especially can be pretty strong, as we saw there.
The cool thing about these two teams is the coaching dynamic. You know, we read that interview from Navi he did recently, and he was talking a lot about how, you know, Dust 2 is a map that his coaching staff feel very, very comfortable about. I was outside and just seeing them as I was walking back to the casting booth, and the coach is sitting there with the paper out grooves, talking to them, talking it through with the coaching staff and making sure everything's on point. So definitely excited to see that come through from Gambit throughout the rest of this. Nickelback has got into the smoke at Red Room. Hobbit's been caught out by the Tech 9, and that's actually opened up a little bit of a chance now onto Axel with Dota, who's under a lot of pressure, but Axel handles it well. Flicks out for the final headshot. He's not out of ammo, so gets overrun by the pistols. And now just Crad left with an M4A1S.
Smoke creates some space. See, Crad is hoping he can just get that early kill to make the round more doable. Right now, he's locked in from behind and not ready for Navi. Slight risk taken there by Hobbit early in the round as he tried to go through that smoke. He didn't realize the tease was so far up mid, but against the pistols, it's not a big deal. It's a 4-0 lead for Gambit before finally Entropiq get a proper full gun round out. They went for the force-ups earlier, which didn't have everything they would have wanted. Now they can finally run whatever they wanted to call for in this first gun round. And we've actually got a timeout ahead of this one. Oftentimes, teams will come into maps and they will have specific strategies in mind for that first gun round especially. So the fact that we see this pause so early here from Hooch maybe suggests he feels the team are getting a little uncomfortable after a slow start here. Just making sure everyone knows exactly what they want to do ahead of this gun round, because if they lose this, they actually go pretty far down pretty early on because of all those unsuccessful force buys. That is a man who is very determined.
No emotion, no blinking. Who needs to blink, Hawker? 4 rounds in a row now. Poor Gambit and Entropiq into the best buy they've had yet. Maybe sending some utility out towards middle early. That standard donut Molotov and the smoke in towards Red Room, but Gambit are challenging down mid, and they've taken a lot of damage early. Hobbit, in fact, is caught in the transfer from Nickelback. He was doing this yesterday against Fiend, and is now doing it again against Gambit. Navi realizes they need a response. They need to take map control back, and so he gets aggressive down into the B ramp, and he's found another one. Intos pushes on the timing from Cave as well, and this is just unbelievable. The response from Gambit is immediate, and Entropiq go from hero, the heights of the 2 kills early, down to nothingness on the aggression on the B side from Gambit.
And whenever Gambit feel comfortable, whenever they have the advantage, they go back to this passive setup. Inter's sitting all the way back on the B site, letting them walk in because they feel as though they can play retake here if they have to.
Yeah, this is just beautiful Counter-Strike being played from Gambit right now as they try and get in towards the site. They're going to need to start peeling these numbers back. And luckily, Elian has been able to do that. He's dropped Inters, puts it into the 2v2, but it's Nafi and Shiro, and now just Shiro into another clutch. Now, you can't really count him out too often in these clutches, but getting back into that B site, he was so far away. By the time he would arrive there, it would be very difficult to clear out all of the positions you have to worry about. He doesn't have an incendiary to molly out the cave. He would just have to rely on, you know, a mistake coming in from Entropiq. He's not really in the position to do this, so he's going to be sitting back and just saving this AWP. And often you will see Shiro do this. You know, he has been a little bit more aggressive over this event, but often you will see him calculate what clutches to go for.
Yeah, listen, man, if there's any player in the world who I'm going to trust knows when a clutch is doable, it's going to be Shiro.
Oh, yeah.
I trust that he knows when a clutch is possible. I mean, even at this event, the clutch stats, 13 clutches for Shiro. Elian is the next closest at the event with 4 clutches won.
It's just
not even
unreasonable.
close, man.
And the thing is that stat's just been ridiculous the entire tournament, right? Like, obviously he's had more maps to play, but you know, you look at the start of the tournament, he was still just miles ahead. He got a lot of clutches in the early days at this event and has been able to just keep it up and just keep going throughout. And that is really what made Shiro famous, was just the clutches that have come through from him. And we got to see them on one of his first ever LAN events, was Copenhagen Games in 2019, Hawker. Shiro made probably the best play of the event, and we knew at that point, this guy is something.
I honestly thought that his playstyle wasn't going to be replicable at the top level when I saw the way he played at that event, because no other AWPer can play so passively and play for the clutch so often like he does. But it has absolutely transferred to the top level. So impressive for him to come through in that way. Entropiq, though, finally finding some success. That first gun round was good for them. They got that early mid control. Gambit this time, though, sending 3 out towards mid early, really focusing on getting that early control. They've got it.
Yeah, they've tossed the utility down into the B lane. Crad Yeah, the player I was talking about really needed to step up today. He had a fantastic performance yesterday to get him to this point in the event.
Everyone's watching for that boost now.
Yeah, you've seen a couple of teams that have just rocked that boost over the top, just peeled away a nice opening headshot. When that smoke's up in front of Cave, you can just focus on that boost and hope not to be caught by it. We did see Entropiq rocking a different boost yesterday, a triple boost actually, in towards the B lane that peered over the top of the site.
That was a very cool one. Would be fun to see that one come through again. I'm sure Gambit will have done their homework though.
They're not going to check the Vincere though. Luckily, the second play was in from Krat to trade out the initial play of Nickelback through, who's been doing a lot of the entry work here on Ancient. Krat able to trade it out at least blow for blow. Shiro has rotated over this time. He's not going to be left on his own. Hung out to dry at the opposite side of the map, but he has taken damage. Gonna have to try and play with the distraction, the rifle of Hobbit, who's in at Cubby. Are they going to check him? Shiro's coming with a shot that's distracted and pulled their attention away. And Hobbit for that gets the double kill. And they knew where Krad was from his earlier fight, so they eliminate him quickly. And Gambit, you just see the read they had. They knew they had everybody over at the right side of the map, and just the numbers was enough to have the team play strong enough to bring down Entropiq.
And Entropiq just didn't have the utility in place to be able to properly execute onto that site. Normally, you always want a molly, almost always want a molly into Cubby. I think the only way you can get away with not having that molly into Cubby is if you're coming out through Cave and you just have those smokes to the back of the site. It's easier to clear. It's not going well for Entropiq so far. They go back to the pace on mid, and Shiro, close quarters, or hits the shot.
Yeah, lovely quick kill from Shiro. Nickelback has been picked out of the round early. Nickelback will often try and force those awkward fights, which I actually think is essential to winning rounds on the T side of Ancient. You have to do a lot of disrespecting early utility in towards the elbow or banana, and just really disallow the CTs to feel comfortable about that mid control, and you try and fight them early on B lane as well. And Nickelback seems to just understand that, you know, you're going to have to just get into awkward situations, try and just get in these difficult spots and take those fights. And I think he's shown at this event he's very capable of winning those.
Entropiq there used that boost for Lackey to start to look in towards Jaguar. But Inters is playing all the way back in the cubbies of the cave. Here's some aggression from Hobbit trying to flank, and one kill is all he needs to back away confidently.
Yeah, Gambit's starting to get confident now, knowing they're going up against some weaker weapons.
Mid as well.
Very, very proactive. And they've just got the whole map at this point in their hands. Even if you make a panic play and they try and rotate back, there's a player in spawn. Axel's got that covered. They've got mid, they've got cave, they've got everything. Entropiq really stand no chance looking at the scoreboard. On paper right now, we would take a monumental mistake from Gambit, but also a huge opening from Entropiq to try and play this one in their favor. They shouldn't even get to the bomb site, really, and that's exactly what will happen. NAVI brings them down. 6 rounds for Gambit. They look super strong right now in Ancient.
And maybe NAVI was telling the truth when he said he wants teams to pick Ancient into them because he thinks they can just come through and show what they can do on this map. This is that first shot from Shiro. It is a risk to take that sort of fight against the pistol. If you do go down there, that's when the round could collapse. But Shiro's so consistent at landing those shots. Make sure to come through for his team. Entropiq finally back to the full buy. This time, every single Entropiq player going out towards the B side of the map early.
Yeah, Lackey's trying to get up the B lane. He's been so quiet so far, yet to get a kill on the board. He's been one of the more impactful players at this event for Entropiq. Can often find opening success, multi-kills coming through from Lackey. They have actually done a good job of just smoking off Cave and taking their B side control. But Gambit are fine playing it this way. They have that cave control. They have the boost over the top. And when Inter spraying down, he would have loved to kill an Elian, but they had considered the bomb plan. Axel's come over to try and stop the party, though, for Entropiq. But Elian and Forcer have cut through and taken the space back. This cave control is not going to be enough because the players are starting to dwindle. Inters is now alone. He taps away, but he's run out of ammo. And Entropiq play the contact play into the B site, and they get them way through, and they just take that control back. They get a little bit more space. And Gambit, the cave control wasn't enough, Hawker.
Yeah, and that's a scenario where it's a position for Gambit where NAVI was just spamming those bullets in towards one of those wall bangs early in the round. And so as soon as you start hearing that on the T side, you probably know there is going to be a timing window. If you can time exactly when he's going to start reloading and maybe tucks back into that cave, you can start to get the site control. But most importantly for Entropiq, because there was such little resistance on the site itself, look at these positions they're able to get for the post plant. Elian's AWP can actually just watch that angle towards CT. They have a player pushed all the way up past the right side of the site so that they can converge on that angle together. And that is the best way to stop those rotates from happening, to have some good advanced post-plant positions, and to not even allow Gambit any chances to get back into the site.
And it's Lackey this time that plays in those awkward spots and disrespects the utility on the ramp and catches the information and the timings that allows Entropiq onto the site. We'll see if that continues here. Gambit will probably start paying a little bit more attention to some of those plays. This round, they've thrown mid utility down, but Gambit haven't committed into mid. They feel like leaving Hobbit just in the red room is enough.
Another difference for Gambit can be when Shiro has that AWP on B. Perhaps that will help them stop some of those early plays, but this time Entropiq don't look focused on that side of the map whatsoever. They're coming back over to A. Inter's again boosted up, but this position was cleared previously.
And that smoke has just faded away at the perfect time to allow the explosion from Entropiq as they arrive. And Inter's good kill as he explodes this rifle. Nearly there for the follow-up kill. Hobbit now dropping back, and he's actually eliminated that mid player. Such a standard play for the T's to try and have that one mid lurk. They're often aware of it, but they can't plant the bomb. Just throwing utility down and coating the floor of fire just disallows that bomb plant. And that gives extra time for Gambit to get in good spots, but it also puts more pressure on Entropiq. And you'll see mistakes come through like that, and Gambit are able to punish you for it. Entropiq get their way into the site, but the utility was perfect. They just couldn't get the bomb down. And now Forrester's alone. He's on 1 HP. Luckily, we'll get past Hobbit, who then clears the right side, takes him out. And that's a very comfortable round in the end for Gambit, even though they do lose the site.
And it's important there that Gambit aren't just aware that they can put the utility onto the site and slow the bomb plant, but they're also aware that once you put the utility onto the site, Entropiq might try and make a hero play. They feel like they have to just go aggressive because those smokes are going to fade soon. So NAVI was just sitting here, watching the smoke, ready for someone to try and push through. As soon as you get that kill, the round is going your way. And Entropiq maybe have to go back to the pace at some point here, looking for that early mid fight. They've got that control they were looking for.
Yeah, Lackey is the front man in the charge. They've actually done a good bit of damage onto Hobbit already as well. Instead of playing Red Room, Hobbit is now taking up a different position inside of Donut at the beginning of the round. And the attention is of Red Room of being put on the shoulders of NAVI instead. And he's able to hold it down. Man advantage now for Gambit.
The pressure on mid could leave a weakness on B. That's what Entropiq are hoping, but Shiro's still here.
Certainly not a weakness, but in this round, completely domed and locked out. Inters is turning a little bit of a whiff spray, allows just one kill. Nice reply from Forrester, who's done a great job of just being explosive in this round. NAVI tries to get in and patch out the holes, but one kill isn't really going to give them that advantage. They've still got to fight their way through. Forrester was attempting to fight. The run boost around the corner. Right into the Mac 10. But that was a little fizzle out. It was like a firework that actually never went out. Just a little dud one, Hawken. But the run boost doesn't work out at all. And Entropiq are able to get another.
Just looked like he went limp halfway through the jump. Ended up coming up way too short on that long jump attempt. And Entropiq are able to get the round win. Those entries from Forrester, though, those are just so impressive. This first shot, Shiro's holding the angle. He hits that headshot, swings onto that second player. The crosshair placement was beautiful in that round from Forrester. And he will have those rounds sometimes where he flies in first like that. And look at what that's done to the economy. Oh, the mid-aggression with the pistols pays off, though.
Yeah, poor Nickelback. He tried to do his classic aggressive play through elbow, just gets caught by a swarming legion of pistols. And Crad is whiffed for the Mac 10. NAVI's turned around with a 5-7. And there's an AK in his hands now as well. Not the round you want to be seeing just yet for Entropiq. They still have better weapons. Certainly still recoverable effect, even with the initial damage.
That's still fine. They've actually found the empty bomb site. One CT just now getting into position, but Shiro has the USP. He's actually fallen back.
Yeah, Forrester's in a good spot here. He'll easily take this lineup. Shiro and NAVI down. Recovery for Entropiq has already come through. AK in the hands of Hobbit. A bad save call for Gambit here.
I gotta say, I respect Crad fully for committing to the Mac 10 spray for that long.
Really?
I do.
Yeah, I liked it. It was an attempt. That was for sure. So, you know, once you've hit mouse 1 for that many bullets, why not just do it all? Just hold it down for the entire magazine.
Sometimes those SMG sprays are hard, Dinko.
MP9 in particular.
As I know from first hand, flanking on Vertigo ramp with the MP9 and just missing every kill. Still, no one was looking at me.
It's still in my nightmares, just watching that round.
If it's in your nightmares, imagine what it's done to me.
Exactly.
I'll never recover.
How's the therapy?
It's going well. It's a long process. Well,
That sound is nightmare fuel. Yeah. 0 and 10, that's certainly nightmare fuel as well for
why's the
Lackey.
cameraman got to do him like that?
Yeah, he really has. Like, speaking of nightmare fuel, Lackey, 0 and 10.
He has been in some tough entry spots, to be fair to him.
Yeah, he has. Did you know nobody managed to achieve a positive KD on Vertigo from the Entropiq lineup? Now I do.
Well, Forrest is positive right now. See if he can keep that up. He's had a couple of impact rounds. And Entropiq are finally finding some form here on their map pick. That early molly on mid was denied by Gambit, so they've got the CT control. But look at that aggression. Nickelback's got all the way in.
Oh, that itchy. It's gonna land. Oh, right. Nowhere. Just nowhere. It's got out of the murder hole. Even the murder hole even kills Grenade Talker.
Apparently, eats them all up.
Brad certainly will looking to eat up a little Nafni around the corner.
This is that aggression from Crad you were talking about. Previous rounds, it was Lackey running up first because it was a team play, and oftentimes Crad likes to go for some ramp aggression alone, but it's the mid control for the majority of the team right now that could benefit Entropiq here. They have so much ground gained.
Yeah, they're going to try and get in towards the A side from two avenues, A main and Donut, but the lineup was there from Axel. Comes out with just one pick, replies there from Lackey. And now Shiro's trying to come back over to the site. Under a minute left on this clock. Entropiq, they do get into the site. It's just putting that bomb down. It's just being so difficult for them. And the bomb has been plucked out of the sky by Shiro's AWP. And that's information now for the rest of the squad to begin their crunch and rotation back. They've even got the held in the flank and drop back. And Hobbit is taking out Elliot as he tries to retreat. And Forrester is just nowhere to be seen. He's trying to get over towards this B site. He's trying to run it through the water. You could do that now with the changes, but
Hobbit might have heard him, honestly.
Gambit already know anyway. They know it's going to be this play. If you're going to make a Hail Mary play, you're going to be trying to go to the opposite side of the map. So Hobbit gets in a good position, but Forrester gets the right read. He can have often great awareness in these situations, but
Oh, no.
he's not going to check the cubby this time around. Good positioning from Inters. And an 8th round for Gambit.
Yeah, just getting ahead of the game there. No way that he could expect that player to already be in the cubby. Entropiq are finding the early map control, but so often on Ancient, it can be those actual site takes that are the most difficult thing. Just getting that bomb down has never happened.
Yeah, and the problem is you have to use up so much utility a lot just to take mid, right? You got to smoke red room, donut. If there's a molly down at elbow, you have to use your smoke for that. So you have 3 smokes you've got to use in mid early. And when you go into an A execute, when you try and drop back into the A execute, you just don't have enough smokes left.
I think that's why a lot of teams, when they take mid like that, will focus much more on red room, because then you can cut off rotations, potentially start to flank in towards that site. But if you're just coming in through donut, as long as that A player can slow you down a little, and then you have some other players ready to rotate, and they're not too concerned about the flank, it's generally going to be favored for the CTs, especially when Shiro's around that temple.
Yeah.
So many strong angles for that ult.
And that's why when you do see A play, and you often see A play less than you do B, is because you do need all that utility. So you often see just a straight up execute out of spawn into the A site. If you can get that split going through donut, of course that's pretty solid, but then again you've got to save most of your nades for the A hit. It's quite difficult on the T side to figure out how to make the most out of the limited utility you'll have left. But Entropiq coming into this round are starting to drop even in weaponry. They don't have a lot of utility in this round at all. Now we're down to a Tech 9 here with Nickelback. It's just where this B play needs to work out, and Axel's found the opening. Navi looking to hold, but he's overwhelmed. Lackey comes in with a pick. Shiro drops back into cave, and again, has a little helper here. Intra trying to help him out with flashes.
Hobbit gets another kill onto the side. The utility lacking, and that's what's costing them right now. Krat finally fighting back, and that bomb may be planted on the site, but how are they going to play the post plant?
Axel's around the backside. Lackey gets caught, brought down, and yeah, Entropiq are just getting through the choke point, but it's just getting the bomb down, keeping enough players left, and having some utility left. It's just never working out for Entropiq.
Gambit always feel comfortable in these scenarios in the late round, even there when they concede site control. I asked where they're going to play the post plant from because they had so few options, and Gambit can instantly start to predict and be prepared for some of those positions. Entropiq have the basics you need to get the round somewhat competitive, to get into good positions, but they just need that little extra oomph to get them over the top, and right now, it's not happening for them.
If they get one more round, I think it's still a doable game, of course, here on Ancient. If they get on the CT side, it's certainly a side where you can come back into it. But they really do need to squeeze one more round out of this half. It's unlikely to come in this because they do have some weaker weapons. They're saving up for the fight in the next round, and Inter is making it even more difficult than it already was. First kill through the smoke. Frankie gets caught. He's trying to follow up as well into a second pick, but he hides back in the cave itself.
Just buying that time so that Hobbit can come babysit him. And Hobbit is now in position, having rotated over.
You can say that's his full-time job on this team.
Pretty much.
Let's have the coaches to help out with that, I guess. Molotov from Hobbit forces him into the fight. Really good stuff that from Entropiq just to clear out that close angle. They've won that cave control battle. Now that smoke actually isolates off Shiro from Nafni. So Nafni's into the solo fights. Good flashes. The timing on the swing needs to come now, and Elian certainly will capitalize on that opportunity. Pick him for Entropiq. Players still around here for Gambit, though. They've still got numbers around the side, but the utility this time for the T's has been used perfectly. And Krakow's leaping through the smoke right to a kill, and he comes out with a rifle. He's still got health as well, so this is now a favorable opportunity for Entropiq to pull off this 5th round.
Smoke and a molly available. That molly will force the player out of the site, and Krak could be in trouble.
Yeah, he was blinded when that Molotov started to go in, so lucky to get back. Axel now trying to chip back, and he's found 2 important kills. In fact, Axel gets them all. 3K as he sweeps up the remaining players, and that has to be frustrating as well for Entropiq. It felt so good for a chance into the round, but Gambit are just so poised and composed when it comes to those retakes.
Yeah, Axel coming all the way over from A, and that is a round where Entropiq try and work together in that post plant. You saw when Crab was mollied, that player in cave decides he's going to swing out so that they can try and fight together. And that is oftentimes how Entropiq like to play some of these post plants. They like to try and just work together and use their individual aim to just swing on the same angle. But this is a scenario where against Gambit, it can be really hard to do that. You see the swing come in here so that Crab can get back to safety. You just wonder whether Forrester's better off almost leaving his teammate in that scenario, trying to play the post plant and maybe spam towards that bomb, but that's not the way Entropiq like to approach those sorts of rounds. They like to try and fight together, and against Gambit, that can be hard to do sometimes, and you can see there, Axel just cuts them all down.
Technical pause here, unfortunately, heading into the last round of the half. Hopefully we can get that resolved as quickly as possible. Positive signs in terms of Entropiq being able to get onto the sites, though, Hawker. You got to take the little positives and see if you can force out this 5th round. This is essential for Entropiq to stay afloat here in Inchit. They have to win this next one.
Nafni having a really good game too, up to 18 frags. Shiro hasn't had to do too much here. Only 7 kills from his teammates, been stepping up, and it's a 3-man mid-stack.
Yeah, Nickelback loves to jump out of those smokes, but you often can just be made to look silly in those fights, and he does get caught early. Follow-up kill due to the initial nade damage is able to remove Lackey from play. He will finish this half on 2 kills. And 3 players left for Entropiq at the beginning of the round. This is something that was working against some of the weaker teams in this competition, but it just hasn't worked against Gambit. Shiro is holding on for the A plate. He's got the right read, he's got the right position. This is going to be very difficult. Elian using up a rifle, and Forrester again beats out Shiro.
4 missed shots, Axel, but he finally hits the headshot, and that should seal this one. Elian shouldn't be given too many opportunities here in the 1-on-4.
We'll see if he can have a shot at this. He's the second clutching player, but this time not to be. Shot on the Axel, but Hobbit will close it. 11-4 at the half here for Gambit. Entropiq could not squeeze out that 5th round. It's certainly going to be a very difficult comeback into their map pick here, Hawker, but they've got to take the right steps. A pistol needs to go their way.
I loved some of those mid-stacks in that half as well from Gambit. It looks like that's something they may have even prepped for Entropiq here, because we saw Entropiq in their earlier Ancient games having a lot of success with some of those fast mid plays. They loved running out early and using that to their advantage. There were quite a few rounds where Gambit had 3 players at mid ready to shut it down. As you pointed out, though, it's not over yet. Entropiq could really do with this second half pistol, because as soon as you win that, you can start to believe on a map that is fairly CT-sided.
Well, once you convert the pistol win, of course.
Sure.
Because in Counter-Strike now, the pistol can sometimes be a cruel mistress, especially when you're dealing with that T side coming up here as well of Gambit. If they get the bomb down, they can get a forced buyout into the second round. So Entropiq, lots to think about here. It's certainly going to be the difficult route to come back into this game. And Krad is getting aggressive with a CZ. Not the best weapon for long-range fights, and he won't be favored in this situation, but because of the aggressive plays, now given a chance for them to think, okay, we can just push into the B side, and they've done that so efficiently here, Gambit.
The molly even cuts off the rotate, so there's no way back in. The bomb's already been planted. At least they have a kit, but they're going to need some quick kills.
Yeah, Kraz sees that it is finally going to find its reward. In fact, it has 2 more players in behind it as well. Entropiq have the first kill into the retake attempt. Now Shiro's side play needs to work out in tandem with Hobbit. The first kill is there for Shiro. Hobbit's been able to find one down into one CT. Elling will chip away his head, and now a 2 versus 3. NAVI under pressure. Lackey putting pressure on him and applying it further. Interest now the last from any play, and he's got bucket loads of bullets left, but he needs to put them in the right spots. Headshots is in, but the defuse has been stuck around the corner, and Forrester has just pulled through the pistol. Interest tries to get around the corner, but the defuse was always coming through, and Entropiq, they have won the pistol, but that bomb plant has come in.
Absolutely. Inters comes close there, does a decent job at spotting both those players, trying to play for time. Wasn't fully sure if they had that kit or not, though, so wasn't able to commit in time. As you pointed out, though, with that bomb plant, you can expect there to be pressure applied instantly into this next round. Entropiq are aware of it, too. They know that if they can win early here and just get a strong start, get that money built up, that's their best chance. So they're taking that timeout ahead of this round.
3rd tactical timeout being used up in their map pick here, going into round 17.
Look at the firepower in this buy for Gambit.
It's ridiculous. It is going to be very difficult for Entropiq to try and deal with. They know what's coming their way, though. They have to. Back of their head, they've got to know that this buy is coming your way, and so they've gone for 3 M4A1Ss into this round. They don't really have the utility right now to deal with a faster play if Gambit send it.
Yeah, that is true. You normally want mollies on a fair few positions early to stop aggression, but with Gambit having such good weaponry, they seem happy to spread into a default at the start of the round, and they've got the nades for the early mid control.
Yeah, there's barely any utility left at all now for Entropiq. Just 1 smoke and 1 HE, and a decoy, for some reason.
Might be useful.
Fake flash.
Try and drop it as a fake flash, who knows?
Throw it. You know, 1 HP damage. We have seen some decoy kills. And plus, I'm not going to count anything out because there was that clip of the Blast competition where an AWP shot was landed into his Tetris or Mirage. I think it was G2 playing, and the shot was actually blocked by like a flash or something. So that can happen, Hawker.
Yeah, just like a nade that was like flying through the air from a nade, which was very weird.
Here we are, 1 minute and 4 seconds left. Nickelback pushed up in towards Jaguar.
Oh, top mid has been taken now by Gambit, and the CTs don't have eyes on that position. They may feel like they want to take this control back towards mid, but with NAVI so far up, he could be a real thorn in their backside.
There's going to be a B hit and try and use NAVI into the late round. Try and cut off rotations from A, but they do need to win cave control here. 2 players in that. CTs can feel comfortable if they maintain cave control, and that is exactly what Gambit do not want to happen. And Hobbit will clear it out. The cave is now empty, and now the play into the B slot has already happened. Bomb needs to go down here, Gambit. There's no utility really for this one to cover off the position, so they've got to just get the kills, and they've done that efficiently. And for the retake, absolutely no utility at all here for Entropiq. Ellian and Lackey going to be caught by that flank of NAVI, who's waited so patiently for his kill. The patience will be rewarded. Lackey now trying to catch the timing. Will do so onto Hobbit. Galil now down, but he's going to keep the FAMAS. He starts to come up in towards the top of B. He wants to win these fights quickly, but Axel will make sure his death is swift. 12-5, that's that Gambit force buy we're talking about. Entropiq, yes, they win the pistol, but the problem is, if you let that bomb go down for the T side, you've got to be able to convert it, and they just couldn't do it. They just didn't have the resources available.
Yeah, and also Entropiq was stacked fairly heavily towards A and mid. They had 3 players on that side of the map, so as soon as NAVI gets into Red Room, he can probably hear those rotations. He can even choose if he wants to cut off those rotations or just play in the backside. So as soon as those early fights go the way of Gambit, it's always going to be hard for the CTs to get back into position. And now they go for the force buy here, but it could be a really hard one to win. Even with the buy, they don't have much to work with.
So they're just taking a risk, trying to play more aggressive, trying to get in the face in the fight, but Hobbit is just going to bring down 2 players at the beginning of the round. The sting is out of the play here for Entropiq. The idea is certainly there, try and make it uncomfortable, but Hobbit is dealing with it. The rest of Gambit are just biding their time with that space now created. They can safely move through the double doors instead of walking into the aggressive stack. This is looking good now for Gambit to try and close this one to 13.
Almost guaranteed. Entropiq are already retreating. It's not even going to be easy for Entropiq to get a gun round going here in their second half with how this is going right now. 13-5. will be confirmed any second. The economy is in shambles. And we were saying, heading into this tournament, we want Gambit to come in here and make a statement off the back of the major. We were saying we want them to come in and be the best team at this event, and to do so convincingly. And even if they lost their opening best of one, anyone can lose a best of one, especially against a team like Fiend. Since we've hit the series, they've looked really solid, and now in the grand final, they're stepping up when it matters most and proving they are still one of the best teams in the world right now, based on this level of performance.
Certainly so, and this is a great confidence booster as well for a young team that maybe take a hit from all the community backlash, everybody, you know, tearing down their achievements and telling them they're onliners and telling them it's not enough and just preying on their downfall. Like, this is definitely a redemption event for them to say, okay, we are just so much better than the teams at this level. We are that elite team. We can believe in ourselves more. And the teams ahead of them, the teams that really get in their way, it's just Navi. And I think they realize when they look at this world of Counter-Strike right now, they want to be top 2. And Daphne said that in an interview just yesterday. Top 2 is their goal at the end of the year. And people were saying it's impossible. It's certainly possible for this Gambit side. And this will go a long way. Winning this event would put them closer and closer to that.
Ooh. Hobbit got tickled on mid, so decided to fight back through the smoke. Not much in this round for Entropiq. They are kind of just conceding this one. It never feels good when you're 13-5 down. But sometimes you have to play for the later round. You need to get a gun round at some point. So it will be easy pickings for Gambit. 14-5 lead. Entropiq would need a monster comeback here on their map pick.
Yeah, Entropiq just haven't really made Gambit sweat at all in this game. They haven't forced them to call the timeouts, let their coach speak. They haven't really made Gambit feel uncomfortable or steer away from their game plan at all. Entropiq have just struggled to make it difficult for them. They've got to do that now. This bye round, if they lose it, it is likely 2-0 down in the grand final. Pulling off a reverse sweep and a best of 5 against the number 3 team in the world, that's just not doable, Hawk. In my eyes, that is just riding your deathborn if you lose this map.
Oh, mid-control contested, but Hobbit gets the kill while blind. Lackey shut down at the start of the round, and now Entropiq are going to have to adjust to the fact that they've lost mid early. They're rotating players in towards B, which seems like the correct call right now, but Gambit are leaving their options open by just spreading into this early default.
Yeah, they just feel comfortable playing the default. We've seen that time and time again from them. They're just trying to figure out how much utility do Entropiq really have, and it's not a lot at all. There's a couple of flashes left, and now if Gambit decide they want to execute on a bomb site, well, there's not going to be any mollies to slow them down. There's no smokes to buy extra time for Entropiq. It's Gambit's round to play, and Entropiq realized that. Maybe a little bit of a risk need to be taken. They looked like they wanted to go for some of that classic B aggression, but it seems like they're a little scared to go for that style now, Hawker.
Yeah, maybe because they're up against Gambit, maybe that is making a difference. You can see in this round, Gambit were ready for that B aggression that could have potentially been coming through, but the call to cancel means they can play back from the bomb site. Gambit will start to group up outside of B.
They're in limbo right now on the CT side of where to go. They're playing pretty passive on the A side, realizing they can make those quick rotations back to B. But they're going to need these kills in Entropiq. Ellen held off the cave play, and that focuses Krat down on the B play. He's taken 2 out of the round. Nafi and Hogan are out of play, and now Shiro's turn to try and chip away at the numbers, but it's just not going to happen for him. And Axel's turn to try and clutch. 1 versus 2 for Axel to try and pick this one up. Elaine and Forrester sit behind them. 14 seconds left, and that bomb is down. Axel begins to move his way forward into the site. He can turn this into 1v1s, but this time he's going to play for elimination now, and what a quick shot from Elian. Axel domed and butchered into the ground. At least another round here for Entropiq. The first of many to come, hopefully.
Yeah, just a bit of a gap there for Elian to work with initially. Final shot is fantastic. You see how Shiro, even in that scenario, did do a pretty good job at figuring out exactly how he could take those fights and exactly how he could turn it into 1v1s, but unfortunately just fluffed some of those second shots. And for Gambit, despite having such a lead here, this is their 3rd timeout taken at 14-6. In the long run, that could be something worth thinking about, but it's still a long, long road for Entropiq to get back into this. Those are those kills from Brad, just able to play from the bomb site. Finally, some signs of life individually from Entropiq. Up until this point, it was only really Forrester who was making some plays and landing some impressive shots. Now we're maybe going to start to see everyone else get involved. to bring that back from the man deficit too. So pretty impressive for Entropiq.
There's Crag getting aggressive. NAVI's trying to hold for it. Steps being made, so they know there has been an aggressive play. They know what map control they have lost. And Crag will confirm to them that that is the case. He doesn't find anything other than info that it's completely empty. But no kill for him.
Everyone from Gambit sitting outside of B.
Resmoke as well.
Yeah, exactly. So that will buy even more time. There's a lot of utility for Gambit. It can be awkward to use when you're retaking this control, and that flash finally coming through, they will gain that ground back.
NAVI,
Look at this rotate.
slowly pushing them away. Entropiq need to get the numbers over here. They've done well to pick up that first kill, and now with that rotation that you just pointed out, they've got the numbers in place, they've got the kills as well, but they've just been pulled back by Gambit. Hobbit, Shiro, and Inter's getting involved. Shiro gets caught by the flash of Inter's and therefore sets up the kill of Lackey, which assisted by Forrester results in a round win for Entropiq. 7 rounds now. Entropiq starting to get a little foothold in the first time here at Ancient. It's a long way to go, but they are getting into the game now.
Full confidence in the read from Entropiq there too. They go for the full-on rotation. They are convinced that Gambit are committing everyone to that side of the map. And having Forrester arrive as that final player was something that Gambit just weren't expecting. You saw they were fully focused on that player they'd already spotted. They didn't think Forrester would get there quite so soon.
There's a technical timeout right now, so we're just waiting to get that resolved. I was wondering if Entropiq had forced Gambit into that uncomfortable situation finally. As I was pointing out, you know, they haven't really made them sweat. They haven't made them want to go to the timeouts or be in these difficult spots. It has all been about Gambit just playing their own game and Entropiq falling flat to it. This is that first pick from Crad. Really gets us started. NAVI was starting to try and slowly create that space forward, and Gambit just focusing too much on one angle. It gets caught in the lineup. So Entropiq able to make those rotations, get that information when Gambit are playing this slow style of play. Coming into this round, they will have a buy. It won't be the prettiest of buys, though, for Gambit. And, you know, a player like NAVI will lack a little bit of utility. So we're possibly looking at maybe a little change in pace from Gambit could come within the next few rounds, Holka. They had just been playing this default stance or going heavy towards B and just slowing it down completely. It has been forced into the slow play from Entropiq at times as well, so they've done a good job at that.
Yeah, the buy shouldn't be too bad. As you pointed out, just some missing nades, mostly for Gambit. That if you do want to run that early mid control, for example, we've pointed out that it's normally going to cost you a couple of smokes and a molly at a minimum. NAVI would just go down to the Galil though, and that means the utility is fine for the most part. Double off setup out for Entropiq. They're hoping this is what will allow them to start to lock down this CT side, which is what they need to do here, really, for their chances in this grand final. If they lose their map pick and go 2-0 down in the BO5, coming back will be a tough ask. Molly didn't land properly.
This is the problem with Ancient. We've seen a flash earlier in this competition that was thrown into his donut, getting caught in the stairs. Now this Molotov hits a little pixel on the floor. Elian gets away with the kill even while blinded. NAVI down again at the beginning of the round.
That's always annoying when you blind your opponent and they still find the frag on towards you. You feel like you've done everything right and it still costs you. But here's the response from Gambit. Red room control taken. And Forrester, who's been solid all game, is the man watching to see if he can catch them out.
Comes down to the timing. Does he let them slip in behind? Because now they're focusing on the play. They're dropping that player back from CT was playing B. It's Elian with the AWP that gets caught by Hobbit. And now the pressure really is on Forrester to hold the gate, and he will. He'll take one. Hobbit and Inter is getting kills in the round for Gambit. It's kept it a 3v3, but it's Axel's play into the A bomb site that was coming for a long time and finally gets his reward. Bomb goes down for Gambit. Entropiq starting to split up the numbers into the 1-for-1 fights. Crad will enter from Donut. He gets spotted. The fight's now forced onto him elsewhere. It will be one kill. It's Axel who will fall. But it's Forrester now with everything to do. Coming in from Temple, dealing with his double donut setup into the post plant. It's just so difficult, especially when you don't have a smoke, you don't have a molly. You've got to clear all these angles, and the bomb is perfectly planted for Gambit into this post plant. Forrester's chances of winning this round are extremely slim. And as this time takes on, it is now in the realms of impossibility. He realizes that and concedes. Saving the AUG instead of throwing it away to the win. Gambit will reach map point on Ancient. Entropiq's map pick is going the way of Gambit right now. Just one round away, and they will be 2-0 up in this best-of-5 grand final.
And Entropiq only saw that single player pushing Donut. Shiro was just tucked in on the side, so that's why he's clearing all those other possessions. They never saw that second man. And even after Gambit go a man down early, they do such a solid job at reacting to this. Axel somehow just able to sneak into A, past that AWP. That was the difference maker in the round, but also the fact they had that mid-round call to come back to A. Perfectly played from Gambit, and they're looking for the win against the low buy. They've already got the first frag, just 4 more to fight.
A great kill from Hobbit. And for Entropiq, they don't really have the resources to pull this back comfortably. They've got to hope a lot goes their way. For instance, he wanted to try and play with it. Tries to get the spam down to the aggressive player. Luckily for Nickelback, he gets away with his life. He continues his play forward out of the B lane, gleaming all this information. There is no one in B lane. There's no one setting up for the B play. The rest of his teammates begin to join him, but that's a long way away. It's all a lot of pressure here on Elliot to try and hold the fort. He doesn't got the weapon for it, just a scout and play. So he's got to hope that this play from middle can work out. And Nickelback has found a headshot onto Hobbit. The rest of the Gambit squad now to gather outside of the A site. Do they commit into A or do they drop back? It seems like that's the call, to just fall away from the A site and go elsewhere.
Yeah, they want NAVI to sell the pressure on the lurk as this fake behind that smoke. They're seeing if he could get that chance.
But Entropiq have the numbers elsewhere. They have the players over on the B site.
And Alien realized he mollied